The great Tom Petty on the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I'm Ron Bennington. Now, we play Petty because we're doing a Jacksonville GPS, but we're moving over and picking up some Gainesville on the way.
Yeah, why not? It's all the same. It's all the same scene, really.
You know, Tom Petty never gets thrown in with the Southern rock guys. I think because he only recorded in L.A. He wasn't, he kind of left Gainesville before his recording career. But to me, one of the great songwriters of all time.
Yeah, great lyricist, great songwriter. I love Tom Petty.
Now, we're going to do a little Twitter contest on Saturday for the GPS. How about this? Signed Eat a Peach by Greg Allman.
Nice.
That's unbelievable.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
That's nice.
Is that coming back?
Yeah.
Can we still do that?
Yeah, I think we can.
My wife.
Because, that's Southern rock, really.
Wow, 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 wee, wow.
That's Southern rock. So, yeah, signed Greg Allman, Eat a Peach, one of the great, to me, the Allman Brothers they're like the thing that kind of got the Southern rock thing started.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily get called Southern rock because they were before.
Yeah, but they kind
Southern
of
rock.
jump-started the whole genre, really, inadvertently.
Yeah, I mean, they're like Iggy Pop is to punk.
Yes.
Allman Brothers are to Southern rock. I didn't realize how much of it was Florida-based until we started to put this show together.
Yeah.
But your chance to win signed Eat a Peach, the great Greg Allman. That's tomorrow. GPS.
Yes. Premieres 3 p.m. East on Deep Tracks, Channel 27. So listen along and send us your tweets.
Hey, coming up later on today, John Oates is in. He's got a great book out. And then Cheech Marin, the town hall.
Nice.
And nice.
We set up a nice little Friday for ourselves.
Nice.
That's nice.
Oh, wow, 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 wee, wow, Friday, my wife.
My wife.
So stupid.
Nah.
Don't do that with your hands.
Why
dude.
did he does this for every impression?
Every impression.
He
acts
turns
like-
everything into T-Rex arms. No one else does this.
Nah.
Well, why do you do that, Chris?
I think it's fun. I think it's fun
Yeah, don't do that.
to change characters. You
But
need-
all characters don't have the same small arms.
Why wouldn't they have those then?
Well, because he doesn't. I've seen the film. There's no connection whatsoever.
I saw that twice in theaters, Borat, and I don't know why anymore.
You're so cool.
I saw that at a sneak peek preview at SUNY Purchase that they screened at SUNY Purchase.
Nice.
They're nice.
It's nice.
It's, my school.
My wife's vagine.
Never seen.
God, he was good.
Oh, that funny babysitter
my
lunch.
God.
The neon green. Such
Yeah.
a good choice.
You beloved it.
Couldn't get enough.
He
of
made
that
us all forget about Mike Myers, let's face
He
it.
really did. And we were enjoying that impression so much.
Yeah, baby.
shit. Do I make you horny? Right? Do I make you horny?
Those arms.
He has regular arms, Mike Myers does.
Everyone does.
Yeah, baby.
All right, that's a really good impression. That's what makes me annoyed. It's a really, really good impression. All the impressions he does are spot on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now just sing, do the BBC, and we'll be set.
Did the baby say? Right?
That's it.
I don't know the rest of the words. I'll be honest.
You had the arms, though. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
He had the
Yeah,
arms
It's
on.
my signature T-Rex arms.
I think it was more like from Mike, baby. It's disgusting.
Look, flipper babies are people too.
Vito, would you like the opportunity to fly down and go to WrestleMania this weekend?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I'd love that more than anything in the entire world.
I hope you get a chance to do it.
Aw.
I thought this was going to be like one of those moments where you give the kid like a prize and like there's cameras.
No, I would only do that if you ever got your work done.
Man.
What are you wearing? What kind of shirt is that anyway? I don't understand.
Oh, this is designed by Paul from Big Brother. It says friendship on the back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good job, Paul.
I got one of those as a Christmas present.
By the way, biggest ripoff in history is him not winning Big Brother, and I hate all the fucking people who were on that show.
I know.
Yeah, it was Nicole Franzel.
Fucking piece of garbage.
Didn't make
There's nothing
sense.
wong with Nicole.
She's not a piece of garbage.
No,
It's
she's
just
a
like
nice
he
person,
played the game.
but he played the game better than her.
Yeah, all she did was hang out in that goddamn bedroom in the back corner, banging Corey all
Great, Chris.
season.
Now I
First
can't
of
book
all,
either of them on our podcast.
We don't slut shame people, okay?
I agree.
I'm not shaming her for being a slut. I'm shaming her for being a bad player for Big Brother. All right,
She won the game.
She won the game.
How bad could you be?
Because she's terrible. She wasn't. She did nothing all season long.
Not
She
She
did
laid in
something.
bed. She laid in bed all season long.
She turned.
Paul
people-
was working it out there every goddamn day.
Power in reserve.
There was no power even in the reserve. It was just it was a crapshoot at the end.
But you can't take away the fact that she did win the game.
She got the votes, dude.
And that's the only thing that matters in that game. It's not you or anything else besides winning. Now, I would have voted for Paul. I agree with you. But then I can't turn around and say that the person who won is a bad player when the entire thing is just make it to the end and then get the votes.
Yeah, I agree.
She pulled one of the biggest moves in the game too when she got Natalie and James to put up Victor and
Yeah.
Paul. That was his third elimination. At
Natalie
that
knew
point.
that was a bad move.
Yeah.
So this day, that poor girl knows.
Oh my God, it hurt her.
She told us that on Big Brother and the Holding Company. Go download it from the interrobang.com.
Still?
It's still up there.
I don't think that
that's
stuff
odd.
stays fresh.
I know.
You know what? It's like a time capsule. Let's say like, oh, so this is what I was.
Really does
You're
it.
like a time sketching. Nice. Nice.
Stop with those arms.
Yeah, and we can't do it if you're going to do that. If you keep doing the arms, we're not doing it.
All right. I
The
want
thing
to.
is, if you don't look at him, it's amazing.
It's really good.
I mean, Jay
But
Moore
visually.
wishes. Jay Moore wishes he was Chris with that.
My wife's Virgin.
Yeah, we just said it was
it's
good.
unbelievable.
Virgin.
It's so good.
Jews.
There's no reason to say that.
He does. His character of Borat did not like Jewish people. I believe.
Okay, but we're supposed to, though.
I do. I love Jewish people.
Well, it's too late now.
Oh God, I'm sunk.
So, Big Friday. And then tomorrow, win Eat a Peach, signed by the Allman Brothers.
Yes, and tune in to GPS on Deep Tracks, Channel 27, 3 p.m. East.
The Southern Rock thing, very Florida based. Very Florida based.
It is. Florida Pride.
There you go. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. What else we got to talk? Oh, yeah. So we've got John Oates coming in,
Yep.
and then Cheech. I mean, we're getting we get Oates, no Hall, Cheech, no Chong.
Oh
It's
my
a
God.
strange day for us.
We should have got those two together.
Yeah. By the way, I think, and not that I don't think that the Garfunkel and Oates are adorable people and they have a nice thing, but I don't know where you get off making fun of these two people who've had.
I always thought that it was a nice thing. Like they picked their two favorites. Who
Oh, I
they
thought they were picking the lesser thans. I always took it as an insult.
I thought it was like they picked the underdogs who are actually their favorites.
I took it as like, wouldn't this be funny if there was a band of Garfunkel and Oates? Can we make fun of them and make our comedy songs?
I don't think so, Chris. I think what Ron thinks. Wow, wee, wow.
Nice.
I think what Ron thinks, and then I hate women a little extra too.
I don't hate women.
You
I like.
do hate.
That's the one thing
women.
that you guys differ on. Ron Bennington does not hate
I
women.
don't hate women.
I don't hate women either.
Although I haven't seen girls, that kind of seems like I hate women because
Oh
I
my
haven't.
God, you sick fuck.
I know. Do you watch it, Vito?
No, I don't. I gave up.
You look
after
like every
season.
boyfriend on there.
You could be a girl boyfriend.
I would be a girl boyfriend.
Why, you don't even watch the show?
I know, but I watched season one, so I know who they are. Like I know there's Brian Williams' daughter. There's a blonde English girl. There's
Why
Jewish
do you think
girl.
we want you to make a list of anything?
Yeah.
Christ,
You
man.
come in and you make a list like you're an autistic kid or something. You don't need to do that, dude. Just be a person.
If you were, maybe you'd get those tickets to WrestleMania.
Would you like to go?
I would love to go. I'd love if you guys all pulled in and got me airfare.
It's
hotel.
easy. It's easy enough to do if you just say the word.
I would love it. Please do it.
Not this year. I mean, you can't do it this year.
This year's the year I want to go though.
Why?
I don't know. I just want to go at it.
You want to see Goldberg and fucking Lesnar throw down?
This year's cheapest, so this is my best chance.
It is the cheapest one?
Oh, no, that's not a fact. I'm just guessing because the card is so weak.
The card?
Damn, you're hating on the WWE right now.
Do you want to go or not? You're not making a good case.
I don't even think Vince does stuff like, hey, it's we got a bad card. Let's cut these people a break. No. He doesn't play that game. Plus, his wife is going out trying to get small businesses going.
Yeah. She knows about small business.
Did you see when she got sworn in and Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were sitting front row?
Oh, yeah.
And Cory Booker was like hitting on Stephanie McMahon the whole time.
Come on, that's racist, dude.
He's going.
Really?
You're a fucking racist.
He's going, hey, I'm more afraid of your wife than you. And it's like, why are you doing? Just let this woman have her moment.
Well, first of all, she's telling small businesses to have more matches. The funny thing is, the McMahons put so many small businesses out of business.
I know.
They just went around just eating up territories.
Like, what is her suggestion? You know what? Hot girls. Add some hot girls.
Yeah.
Squash matches.
Get everybody on steroids and then have them die young.
She's like, one of the things you could do is get rid of the jobbers. It worked for us.
Tables? Remember the Attitude Era? I mean, you guys have a hardcore champion here?
D-Generation X did real big things for us. Let's put those guys in the White House.
The McMahons should have to sit next to the corpses of all the dead wrestlers.
Chris was telling me about a drinking game he played. The Royal Rumble 91 drinking game.
No,
or something?
it's a Royal Rumble drinking game. A buddy of mine invented it, and I played it from time to time. Where you drink every time a wrestler comes in the ring. Mm-hmm. You drink every time a wrestler gets eliminated. If the wrestler has passed away, you drink twice. If the passed away wrestler gets eliminated, you drink twice. And it gets you, if you watch a 91.
Yeah, well, that's like constant drinking for the whole thing.
Yeah, it's just fucking.
Why do you guys sit down and drink?
Yeah.
Why do you have to have this
at the
fucking
pace of your
game?
So it's so much faster.
Just drink at your own fucking pace.
I usually do.
Why don't you just go, how fast can you drink? I'm going to start drinking right now. Go.
Just crushing booze. It's not. I haven't played in a long time. It's too fucking rough.
Not since 91.
It was just a little guy then.
Why 91?
91. There's a high percentage of passed away wrestlers on the card.
I feel like all of them. I mean, I can't think of a year.
Why invite Sam to this? Except for he has to eat a chicken finger every time somebody comes out. 'Cause he doesn't drink at all, right?
No, he's never had a touch of alcohol.
I know people like that. Earl's that way.
I don't get it. At least get drunk once, just to see what it's like.
Try it.
Just because. Listen? If you're freaked out about losing control, or whatever, have people around you to make sure you don't fucking do anything stupid.
I don't know if I've ever seen that work though.
But considering what you guys have told me about his eating habits, I wonder if he's just worried about the taste.
Yeah, he might
just
hate the taste.
He might just be like, that's gonna taste gross. I don't want it.
Yeah, but we give him like daiquiris or Singapore slings or something.
Chicken finger flavored vodka.
Yeah. Here's chicken finger soaked in vodka. Nice.
Did you just offer him a Singapore sling?
A Singapore sling, yeah. They taste good.
What about a rum swizzle?
He really likes pizza. So if we get that pizza powder that was in all that 90s food, we put it in a drink.
The signature flavor of the early 90s. Pizza powder. Any time there was a commercial on, I was like, and it's pizza flavored, just like the Ninja Turtles like. And I'm like, Mom, I need this. Mom, another pizza snack.
Cowabunga.
Get in here. Who was so popular.
That and green. Anything green.
Yeah. You wanted a green drink and a pizza flavored snack.
Or blue. Blue was popular for children in the 90s.
I know, but like
slime.
Yeah, like the Ecto Cooler.
Nickelodeon was riding high on Double
all those
Dare.
like green like Squeeze-Its and stuff like that.
Green ketchup.
Green ketchup.
I remember green and purple ketchup.
That was a thing.
Well, they still have green ketchup, right?
I don't know. I think like
from green tomatoes.
Oh, this was like food color, like green
this
and
was
purple,
like
food colored tomato.
It was like neon ketchup. So kids like it.
Yeah. Hey, kids, not eating enough ketchup. Hey, Mom and Dad, trying to get your kids to eat ketchup.
Mom, get in here.
Have some pizza flavor.
Hey, pizza powder in it, Mom.
What? And your mother is never as excited about you as anything?
And your mom is just like, I'll get you real pizza.
Right. I remember, like, just running down an aisle holding a box of cereal because there was a fucking toy. Just running at my mom. My mom's like, you're not going to eat that junk. I go, I am.
I will eat it.
You don't understand. There's a really great submarine in here.
It might be real. It's never as good as you.
No, it's never as good. And you're sitting in the bathtub in the middle of the afternoon trying to get this thing to fucking work. I'm going to take a bath now. And it's pizza flavor.
Mom!
Just that thing of wanting everyone else to want it as much as you, you know? My mom wouldn't let me have any of this stuff from the back of comic books. You know, the X-ray glasses. She wisely says it's all junk. But I never learned that lesson because I never got the disappointment because she would never allow me to do it.
Right. You've got to show me. Show me that it's
She's
junk.
like, I'm not going to waste 79 cents on this thing. That's insane.
Wasn't that like the worst thing as a kid? Is like what sounded very cheap to you, and then like your mom would be like, "No, we can't," and you're like, "I know this isn't expensive," in the grand scheme. Then why do you have a car if you can't afford this?
Right. One time I remember your uncle saying to his mom, just go to the bank and get some money. He literally was saying to his mother, well, it's so easy. Go to the bank and get the money.
As though poor people are just lazy. They're just like,
Can't be bothered.
They're too stupid to go to the bank and get the free money.
I don't know. I got to go all the way to the bank for this?
No, it's not worth it. Let's just stand here and starve. Oh, this TB isn't going away.
I know. I'm really worried. It's continuing.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? I'm a lunger.
Oh, no.
I'm a lunger.
You are. But that's a derogatory term.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yes. I don't
Well,
think
I can say it because I am a lunger.
You are.
Yeah, I can say the L word.
Yeah. That's why you hear him on the street just going around. Put up my lunger. I mean,
Where
you
my
know,
lunger's
he can say that.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
No, you can't because you have nice, healthy lungs.
I mean, sometimes I say it and I have to be like, my dad's a lunger. That's
Yes.
fine.
You're half lunger.
Can you sing along with it in songs?
Yeah, I think that's okay.
You know, TB really runs far in my family.
Really?
Yeah, it runs really deep. Like if you look at our family tree for years, they all died from TB.
Everybody had TB.
Jesus.
And a lot of them were sent up to the mountains, to the Poconos.
And I think also it continued on long after many people were getting it. Like we had it was too frequent
Yeah.
and too recent.
Yeah, well, I mean, it came after the cure. People were still dying
Right.
of TB.
My dad told me he got TP in like the 2000s.
I'm sure he did.
Like, it's fucking crazy.
Well, you
He's
know.
a crazy liar.
No, you could get TB in the 2000s.
I thought it was eradicated. I thought
No,
TP was
it
done.
isn't. It's still out there.
No, it's out there.
Up.
Your dad had it.
Yeah.
Probably died from it, but you were laughing at him instead of trying to help.
Why did you laugh at his TB?
Well, you're not believing him. I mean, a man has a disease and you don't believe him. Nice.
Nice.
My dad, tuberculosis. This is terrible.
Wow, 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 wee, wow.
This is bad. This is making me look bad. I wish Bruno would have caught on like Borat did.
Why?
More better impressions.
More better impressions.
More impressions. Better impressions.
No, you're right. It would have been more better.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm original gangsta. I think I liked Ali G best.
LG was pretty amazing. But he had like a movie with like a plot, right? It wasn't just all the weird fucking interviews. I never saw the LG movie.
It did, yeah. It did have a plot. It was not like the straight up interview. But I remember when that came out, and I was young, and I was like so cringy, but just was obsessed.
Oh,
with
I
it.
thought he was just awful to people.
He was so
Just like you're terrible to people.
booyaka shot.
Yeah, fucking astronauts. This is my main man.
I literally say something from that show all the time. It's like when he's like, saying something like, "We got to get to the moon, but we don't have the technology, right? We don't have the technology."
I'm here with my main man, Buzz Lightyear.
That's the best.
Scumbag, did you just say?
He's a scumbag.
Oh my God! The lady coughs in the first act.
This is bad.
Looks like I got a longer bite.
Finally, I can say it without getting fucking.
Someone give it to me. I want to say longer.
No, he's my sidekick now.
What's up, my lunger?
He's Lungy. I'm the lunger with Lungy. Don't forget Lungy too. Well, Vito, your big brother's coming, right? You're going to get your show back on?
I can't wait. June 28th, premiere party.
Who are you going to replace Chris with?
Why am I being replaced? I'm Big Brother in the whole time.
Because you were in trouble last year. You were really bad.
Yeah.
No, I was great. I was all over the top. I was calling fucking evictions left and right.
You were negative.
You just talk shit about Corey and Nicole. Now how am I going to reach out to them to get them on the show?
I know.
Let's just get Frank on.
Oh, your love for Frank always made me very uncomfortable.
Why?
It always seems sensual.
He came up with the term Frank, bro. He was really, really high on it last
Yeah,
year.
did anybody else catch on?
Nope, nobody said it.
Then you can't brag about I was the first one to say something.
I was the
When
first
there's
one
not
to
a
say
second
something
person.
and the only one to say
Vito's
it.
the second person. He says it all the time.
He got me.
Why you book Bronx Johnny on this show?
He doesn't watch Big Brother or the holding company.
Gee, he just tries to keep his world separated.
I'm not trying to keep anything separate.
I would love to
You got
hear
to
his
keep them
take.
separated.
Love that Think the Offspring still tour?
What? Like halfway through that sentence, I was just like, nobody answer him.
Yeah, no, just let him just be out there by himself.
What do you guys think? They tour still or?
What do you think the deal is there? Huh? What's up with
I
them?
mean, what's the deal? We were on the radio. Now what are they up to?
Oh,
What's your take on it, Ron?
sweaty, Ron.
Yeah, that's your lungs giving out.
Oh my
Oh,
God,
man.
TB
That's
is
your lungs.
rampant.
Yeah, it's your
in
lungs
the
shutting down, buddy. You'll get used to it.
It's nice.
Nice.
to
All right,
quarantine
can
this-
you guys do me a favor? Stop all this
Yeah.
ass grabbing when John Oates gets here.
Yes,
Look at
absolutely.
me. I don't want him to fucking put up with this nonsense. Steve Leeds just gave me the big the high hat.
Yeah. Threw up the
He's
deuces.
the guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got another big one coming in for us next week. I don't even want to say, and because I don't want to jinx it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Will you tell me during the break?
Yes, I will.
All right.
During the break, I will. But not a second before because people pick up through these microphones.
Yeah, they're micro.
Yeah, they're small. See how small they are?
Tiny little
They're
phone
just a
in there?
microphone. You could call anybody you want from here. By the way, I saw Sam Roberts the other day, and he has a cellular telephone.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So I was like, "What is that? A cordless phone?" He goes, "It's more than cordless. It's cellular."
What? So there's no base to it? How does it even charge it?
What do you mean? Does it even charge it?
Like fucking cordless phones have a base where you charge them shit.
Yeah, but original phones didn't have to be charged. They were just like
Why are
hooked
you
up to the
focusing
wall.
on that part of it, the charging part of it?
Because that's what I like to think about. No, man, this fucking TV's got progressing quickly.
It's eating your brain.
Yeah, it's starting to eat your brain out now.
No, that's the syphilis. And I refuse to treat it. I want to see how crazy I get.
This is great for content.
I wouldn't know the difference between whether you had syphilis or not. Not by your brain or your chewed up dick. They both would look the same. Your before and after pictures would look exactly the same. All right, I'm going to try to sing with John Oates today.
Cool.
Yeah, so don't fucking ruin it for me.
No T-Rex arms either.
One-on-one, I want to play. Wouldn't that be weird if I just started to try to sing with him and take Daryl's part?
I think you'd like it.
You think?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I don't know.
would
I wouldn't-
probably turn him off just a little.
I wouldn't risk it.
He'd be like, "Dude, you mocking me?" No. You don't. Nobody mocks. All right, we got a break here.
Yes.
We be back. We be back. This is what I'm saying. That's how I'm speaking to people now.
Zero longer.
Yeah, I'm just a longer. We're right back with John Oates. This is Bennington. Change of Seasons is that song. It's also the book from our buddy John Oates. John, congratulations, man.
Thanks, Larry, man. This is great. Great to be back here.
It's is it a weird experience to sit down and go over your whole life like that?
Yes, it is. It's like entering into regressive memory therapy. But the interesting thing was, I think there was stuff that came up as the memories began to flood back. I realized, you know what? It's kind of a blessing in a weird way, because I may not have remembered some of these things for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So,
but so you would just have this spark. One thing would lead to the next, and suddenly you're remembering something that had been out of your mind for years.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did the best I could. And, Daryl was actually really helpful, too, because I let him read this along the way. I gave him chunks, especially when it had a lot to do with him, because I wanted him to be happy about it. I wanted him to really, kind of, and he has a great memory. So he was always bringing out some things. And then, of course, my co-writer, Chris Epting, was fantastic, and he's an amazing researcher. I joked with him during the process of writing that if he ever wanted to stop writing books, he could always get a job at the FBI, because he just pretty much could find anything. So he teed me up for stuff, man. He'd say, February 2nd, 1974, you were here and you said and you did. And I was like, man, okay. And then once he'd light the candle, it started to happen.
Right. Yeah. Then it all started to come back, flooding back. Well, I was actually thinking about how you and then also, Daryl, you're so much a part of your own life and times that you guys were alive, that there was so many changes going on in music and politics that you guys were on the front lines for. And then you did something that most white guys don't do, and that's sing very much in the style of soul music. Not just be influenced with it, but embrace that kind of music.
Well, growing up in Philadelphia and listening to the music that was being played on the radio was really I don't care if you're musical or you're just a fan. The music that you hear in your youth and your childhood is going to be the music that resonates with you for the rest of your life. So listening to R&B, and for me personally, listening to a lot of folk and roots music in Philadelphia, where there was a lot of that happening as well, all at the same time, was like in the perfect storm of American kind of really authentic American roots music tradition. And so that when we sing the way we feel. And soul music, I always feel like soul music is it's not owned, or it's not in the domain of race. There's soulful music coming out of people all over the world. I listen to Irish Celtic music. I hear a lot of soul. There's soul in the Native American music. I mean, just listen to the drums and the way that the people are emoting. It's all about it. Does it reach you? Does it move you? And if it moves you, it's soul music.
And you've spent your life chasing that feeling.
If it's not real, it's not anything.
But even how rare that is, discover something as a young person, right? And then have that lifetime with it. It's a very rare thing that you got a chance to do.
Well, I guess I'm too close to it to maybe appreciate it as much as I perhaps should. For me, it was just part of my life, and it's part of something that I always have had a calling to.
Yeah. Well, you released music with this book. And it's not all in the Hall & Oates style of music. You go to a lot of different places.
Well, I wanted to differentiate myself from the Hall & Oates story. That was one of the challenges of writing the book. One of the challenges of writing the book was how do I tell my own story? But I can't separate myself from this experience that I've had my entire adult life with Daryl Hall from the time I was a teenager. So it was a bit of a journalistic tightrope walk, I guess you want to call it. And I had to figure that out. I hope I balanced it out enough because here again, I know a lot of people are interested in the Hall & Oates story. The other thing that I wanted to make sure about that story was, to me, it was much more engaging and more interesting to find out what it took to make it happen than it was to talk about taking a victory lap in the 80s and having all these big hits. Because that's pretty well documented.
Yeah. But I grew up in Delaware County, so I always thought that Hall & Oates were a hit. So I had no idea how long it took you guys, because you were getting radio play there.
Right.
And, very embraced by your hometown. Certainly black and white people together. It's always funny when I talk to black people about Hall & Oates. I will always get the thing of, it's not just a past, but you guys are black, which is always the funniest thing to me. But like you said, and even when you go into looking like, there are people that think that you guys picked up on the Philly sound of the 70s, but those guys that were producing those hits, you're contemporaries
That's
of
right.
more than influenced by.
We were right there when Gamble and Huff. We were working with Gamble and Huff before Gamble and Huff were Gamble and Huff.
Unbelievable.
Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff played and worked on Daryl's first single when he was a kid in 1967, a song that he had with his group called the Temptones. I had one of their arrangers, or early arrangers, Bobby Martin, who sadly passed away a few years ago, who went on to arrange things like Backstabbers and For the Love of Money, become one of their go-to guys. He arranged my first single when I was 17 years old. So we were part of that. And we did have a choice at a certain point in the early 70s before we went out and got our own record contract, whether we were going to go upstairs to the 6th floor of the Schubert building and work with Gamble and Huff and become staff writers for them.
Are you glad that that's something that you didn't do, or do you look back on that and go, I wonder where that path would have taken us?
It would have been an amazing experience to be with Tommy Bell and Gamble and Huff through that era. But I obviously, I'm glad that we decided to do what we, kind of follow our own path.
I thought also one of the most fascinating parts of the whole book is talking about Tommy Mottola, and anybody who follows the record business ended up hearing the name. When I went into radio, I would just hear Tommy Mottola, I don't know, like it was the threat from record guys. Tommy Mottola wants you to play this.
It probably was.
Or I'm going to get killed by Tommy Mottola, right? It was years later when I actually met him. I'm like, oh, this isn't the mafia guy. I thought, he seemed like he was way more sensitive. But I don't know. Do you guys think that you would have made it without his management?
Probably not.
Yeah. He
was a great manager because he kicked ass for Daryl and I. But he was also, he had, let me just say that I think he could have been a little bit more, have a little more foresight in terms of the type of deals that he crafted for us, and made us perhaps understand a little bit more what the ramifications of those deals would be way down the road. But, we were kids. We were doing it together. It was all about the money. When you don't have any money, money's important. And you're willing to give up a lot for it. Just how much we were willing to give up, I wasn't really aware.
Yeah. Because you came to the end of that, and and I'd never known this story. This is something that completely blindsided me. I didn't know how much money trouble you guys were after all of those hits.
Mm-hmm. Listen, there's a cautionary tale inside this book and you know what? And at the same time, this is not a news story.
Mm-hmm.
If you know anything about the history of rock and roll, you go back to the early 50s when a lot of these guys, Howling Wolf and those guys were coming up the Mississippi River to Chicago and signing with the Chess label and signing away their entire careers, record royalties, publishing for the rest of their life for a bottle of wine and a big night out on the town. This is the history of the music business. We're unfortunately, Daryl and I were as part of that sad legacy of that. And you know what? It's still going on in a way, and it probably will go on forever. Wherever there's creative people involved who only want to be creative and don't want to spend the time to be knowledgeable about the business side of things, there's always going to be business people who are willing to step in and take up the slack.
Now, you both were able to climb out of that hole.
Yes, absolutely, in a big way.
Through touring? Well,
no. Touring was just a thing to sustain ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was in the early 2000s, we realized that there was an opportunity to recapture our publishing royalties. And we went after it in a big way. It had to do with some laws that were changed. And it also had to do with the fact that we had some people who all of a sudden came to our side to kind of help out in this situation. and we managed to recapture our royalties, our songwriting and publishing royalties, which was at that time very, very substantially valuable. And it also, it just, this was here, I guess it was serendipitous or kismet or whatever you want to call it, but at that exact moment, Wall Street became enamored with buying up publishing catalogs. I don't know if you recall.
I remember when Bowie did it. I think, yeah.
He was one of the first.
Yeah.
Well, we jumped on that same bandwagon, and the Wall Street folks were offering incredibly large multiples for the value, meaning, if you don't understand what that means, let's just say your catalog's worth $1 million. Well, over the years, that $1 million could be 10 million or 20 million. So these companies would say, we'll give you a multiple of 12 or 15 times what it's actually worth right now to own it. And we were just lucky enough to sell our catalog at exactly the right time. And we've done very well.
The book, Change of Seasons, is about, I think, passion. It's always passion. Your passion for music, but then your passion for so many other things in your life. And there's very few musicians that I've ever met that are passionate about stuff outside the music business, but you've been able to turn it off from time to time and chase things.
I don't know. One of the things that I also kind of jumped out to me as I was writing the book and was surprised me about myself was that how the hell did I have time to do any of this?
Yeah.
I was flying. I was driving race cars. I was like traveling around the world. I don't know how I crammed all this stuff in one day. I mean, it's just crazy. But I did, I guess. And, in a way, I'm still kind of doing it. I wrote a book.
Yeah, right. Well, the 80s have to be a blur.
They were.
Right? Yeah.
It's funny. Everyone thinks that because we were the most popular commercially during the 80s, that was our favorite period of time. It's the exact opposite. It was my least favorite period of time because I had no time to do anything. It was a blur. It was a nonstop. We wrote, we recorded, we toured, we made videos. We wrote, recorded, toured, made videos. And it never, ever stopped for 6 years straight. And don't forget, we had been on tour for 10 years before that. So to be honest with you, the 70s were my favorite period of time, especially the early 70s when we were touring the country in a 1968 Pontiac GTO, sleeping on people's floors and, meeting chicks at a club and hanging out for 3 days in Atlanta and, in Louisiana and the Bayou and just hanging out and playing shows in weird places. To me, that was the most fun.
That comes across very much in the book as well. And I think it's because, like I said, it's always about passion, but you guys weren't looking for hits. You were looking for that feeling that you could have writing and then performing a song. And, you were talking about your catalog. It's amazing how many songs that you have that people can sing that don't necessarily even think of themselves as Hall & Oates fans, but they can sing about a dozen to 15 of your songs. How many people have that?
Well, we're very fortunate that we wrote songs that somehow resonate not only with our older fans who have been with us for a long time, but with a new generation of fans. There's here again that's a testament to the songwriting, and Daryl and I we did okay with that.
But you never seemed like you had a system for writing songs, the two of you.
Well, we had a system in terms of the craftsmanship of the actual songwriting, but we didn't try to copy ourselves. We didn't say, "Oh, we've got a hit with "You Make My Dreams Come True." Let's write "You Make My Dreams Come True 2" or the sequel. In fact, that's one of the things I'm most proud of the '80s is that all our big hits, none of them sound like the other one.
Mm-hmm. It's true,
not one.
But also, there's not every band has to think about harmony. You know what I mean? Not every band has to think about hitting those soul points, and I do think that is one consistent thing with your hits, that there's always a point where you're just like, wow, you know what I mean? There's always that moment that just really pulls you in, but it's never like, oh, one of you brings the song and the other arranges. You guys were
we both do everything.
Yeah.
We're both songwriters, lyricists, musicians, producers, players, singers.
And now you guys work in a way where Hall & Oates still exists, but you each have your own careers, which, if you think about it, if someone could have explained this to the Beatles, you know what I mean? They could have made an album every 5, 7, 8 years or done tours, but they took it all so serious. Where you guys also just seemed you let that mature.
From the day that Daryl and I started working together, one of the things that we did decide, now we never had a master plan or a big long-term goal, but one thing we did decide is that we were two individuals who were going to work together but not be a two-headed monster. And that was really important to us. If you look at our albums, every album, there's not one album that we ever made that says Hall & Oates. It says Daryl Hall and John Oates because we wanted to be perceived as an individual. Now that seems, it might seem like you're slicing it pretty thinly there, but the truth of the matter is because of that fact, we've maintained our individuality, although we've been working together for 40 plus years. But now Daryl's got his great TV show, Live from Daryl's House, which is doing great, and that's his creative energy's there. I'm in Nashville working with these roots and traditional Americana type style musicians, and I'm loving that because it takes me back to my childhood and the things that I started doing. It's funny. Daryl told me one time. He told me a story that when he was doing one of his TV shows, that he had a young artist on who was part of a band, but he was kind of, I guess, the principal in this band. He came on the show and he said to Daryl in passing, he said, you and John are really unique because he goes, I'm in a band. He goes, I can't, I'm either in the band or I'm not in the band. He goes, you guys have a band, but you guys are two individuals and people actually accept what you do. So it's really unique. And I think we're very lucky to have been able to somehow figure out how to do that.
Well, I hadn't even realized that you guys never called an album Hall & Oates in the title. So was it surprising to you when you would listen to the radio and people would say Hall & Oates?
It's just easier.
Yeah.
It's just easier. I mean, come on, everybody's got to have a box to put their junk in.
But that also is great because it doesn't limit what you guys can do now on your own. Right. Like you said, Daryl can go off and do something and it doesn't hurt the Hall & Oates.
In fact, it enhances it.
Yeah.
What Daryl's TV show in particular has really enhanced the brand, I guess you want to call it. Mm-hmm. And the stuff that I've done, the people I've worked with, the newer artists, and just everything seems to, and it comes back to somehow making the thing that Daryl and I do together even more powerful.
Well, also, and I think it's gotten a chance to show that the band and the players that you guys have been with for years are extraordinary. And, a lot of times when you're just a casual fan, you won't understand what somebody like T-Bone meant to that Hall & Oates group. But you get to pick up on that when you're watching people put stuff together.
We have always been blessed with being surrounded by incredible musicians who have supported and taking the songs that we've written and taken them and realized them in the studio and taking them to places that perhaps we could never have taken them ourselves. So one of the things that I've always chalked it up to, great players, great musicians always want to play good songs. It's one thing to jam, and it's one thing to jam out on blues for 20 minutes and do long, complicated, flashy solos. But the reality is they love being challenged by arrangements and chord structure and interesting melodies and harmony. And good musicians are always gravitate toward wanting to play good songs. So because of that, we've always just had this incredible collection of players behind us and who have been so important to our success.
I'm also stunned that you guys can still sing these songs because these songs aren't that easy to sing for guys in their early 20s.
And I have to give Daryl Hall some serious props here because I stand next to him every night, so I know what's going on there more than anyone does. Those songs are really hard to sing, and he brings it every night, and it's incredible. But he knows how to sing. I know how to sing. We're vocally trained from childhood. There's a difference between people who actually know how to sing and people who don't. I mean, I'm not the best singer in the world, but I know how to sing. And I've been able to preserve my voice because of that over the years.
And that's, first of all, if somebody would have told you in 1972, yes, you still are going to be in the road.
If someone said in the early, when we were making our first album that, hey, in 2017, you guys are going to be headlining arenas and you're going to be playing to like 12-year-old and 13-year-old kids as well as 60 and 70-year-old people, I'd be like, man, oh, that's right. There is acid in 1972.
Yeah.
Okay. We got that now.
But you are playing now to some of the biggest houses you've ever played to.
We are bigger now than we've ever been in our careers, as crazy as that seems. It's unbelievable. I mean, I just don't even know what to, it just is.
And there are so many bands throughout the years that they're great, but they're really of their time and place, right? Like you're like, oh, this sounds like this year.
Yeah.
But you guys have never had that.
We have always thought of, we separate three things. There's the song, there's the record, and there's the live performance of that song or record. All three of those things are distinctly different, and we don't make any attempt to make them the same. There's a lot of bands where you go see them live and it's like they're trying to reproduce the record. That's their goal, and maybe that's what they want to do, and that's fine. But that's something we've never done. To us, a song is not a record, and a record is not a live performance. And when we play live, we treat the songs in a way that brings out the live energy of the song at the moment for the fans and for us. And that's what keeps the songs fresh.
And that kind of sequencing is totally different, right, from an album. Like, I know some people go out and play their album, and I'm like, wow, that doesn't really always work live.
No.
You don't have the same kind of build.
That's right. Sequencing an album has to do with a certain kind of flow because it's a passive, you're making something that's going to be absorbed passively by someone sitting or in headphones or comfortable surroundings and letting the music wash over them. Live, it's all about kicking someone in the ass and saying, hey, check this out. You're going to get up and you're going to dance and you're going to feel this inside you. And that's what playing live's all about.
We also do a show called The Perfect Song when you're trying to think of what is the perfect song to meet something. But is there a perfect song for your life, whether you wrote it or just a song that you heard and it stays with you?
Well, being selfish, I would say for Daryl and I, the perfect song is She's Gone. It was the perfect storm of creativity. It was we had written this song that had meat on its bones. We took it to Arif Mardin, who's one of the world's greatest producers, and he surrounded us with the right musicians to play that song in the right environment of Atlantic Studios, the legendary Atlantic Studios, with Les Paul's son, Gene Paul, as the engineer, with maybe the best R&B drummer in the world, Bernard Purdy, and so on and so forth. And it all came together in a perfect combination of things. But I have lots of perfect songs. I mean, for me, Joni Mitchell's album Blue is one of the greatest recordings ever made. I think it's a perfect expression of who she is, who she was at that moment. And it's musical, it's emotional, it's artistic. It's got everything.
She also reminds me of you when you play folk music. There's always that thing of there is soul in her folk music. There is jazz in her folk music. And not everybody will do that. I'm sure that at the time that she was doing that, a lot of purists are like, no,
Well, she started out as a pure folkie, and then she took those folk elements and created her own distinct original style using folky elements, and then she transitioned into jazz later on in her career. Daryl and I were both huge fans of her when we were first starting out, and we eventually got to meet her and hang out with her a little bit. In fact, I think she even sang with Daryl on one of his solo albums.
What about Laura Nyro?
I thought Laura Nyro was great, and Laura Nyro, by the way, recorded at Atlantic Studios as well with Arif Mardin.
Yeah.
So, and Laura Nyro preceded us by a few years, but she was a very special person in terms of she was like just pure art.
Yeah, just that same beautiful tone that you guys will go to. I can't believe how fast this went. It's John Oates. Change of Seasons. As I said, there's music as well as the book, and we couldn't even begin to scratch the surface here because everybody of the last century shows up somehow in your life. It's really crazy.
Wow. I'm beginning to feel like George Washington.
Yeah, there is definitely a thing of you've met anybody that you could have met, I think, of your generation and the generation before.
Well, I feel like I was born at the right time.
Yeah.
You know, I was born at the right time, and I'm very, very fortunate and just lucky to be able to say that I'm part of this great American tradition of rock and roll.
And you kept your balance, and not everybody does that, man.
So far, so good, man. I'm hanging in there.
All right, congratulations
Thank you so
on
much.
this.
Thank you very much.
I'll see you next time.
Great.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, John Oates. Did we want to give out a signed book by him?
Yeah, we did. We have a signed John Oates book. Change of Season, a memoir.
First responder, super tweet. First responder, a super tweet. Just go over to our Twitter, and you'll get the @John Oates and send him a super tweet, and just tell him how you enjoyed hearing him on the show, and we'll pick out somebody and give them the book.
That's how you get yourself a sweet signed book.
@John Oates. He was able to get John Oates. @John Oates.
He was able to secure his own name.
Sweet.
There's a bunch of Chris Stanleys out there.
I mean, I'm laughing. Gail, AAA, double A. Gillian.
Gillian. It's like you're falling off a cliff. Gillian. What are you up to lately? I mean, you were in here with John Oates. Would you say that your mom was a Hall & Oates fan?
I think my mom was a big Hall & Oates fan. She was, but like in the 70s, she was mainly a disco, like big disco queen.
Really?
VIP member, Studio 54. If you
VIP.
If you ever come to my apartment, my mom will show you her opening night invitation to Studio 54. She was a big.
We have the Studio 54 channel here, and they always have people in who were connected. She ought to come by and do an interview.
She's asked me. She's brought up to me multiple times. She's like, "Can you get me on that show?" And I'm like, "I don't think I have the power to just get you on another show."
You would.
You do have the power.
Yes, they love to talk to people who were there.
Oh, she would love that. She loves that. She loves talking about it. She loves showing people pictures of like her stuff.
Do you know how many guys you had to sleep with before you became a VIP?
I know. Anytime my mom has yelled at me about drinking or drugs.
One night.
Wow. In one night.
Yeah.
Well,
30 in one night.
Wow.
Holy shit.
That's amazing that your mom would confess that to you.
Freak out.
Great song.
Oh, by the way, do you think it was odd that John picked the perfect song as his own song?
Yeah, I mean, I see where he was. I mean, he was like, my perfect song is definitely one of mine.
Yeah.
But I think that was a cool way to take it because he's like, what is the most perfect thing I've achieved?
Yeah. It is kind of a perfect song.
Yeah, I mean, he's not wrong.
No. She is gone. I mean, they say that over and over.
You get it, people?
The devil to replace her. She's gone. She's gone. Well, there was a funkiness. There was the funk, soul, disco thing all around back and forth in those days, in those 70s days. So I'm sure Hall & Oates had showed up at Studio 54 at some point.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I know Mr. Rod Stewart was there constantly, the person that Jen never remembers.
I don't know why she hates him so much.
I mean, she doesn't know if she hates him.
Come on up here and grab a thing, Jen.
Have you done any further research into Rod Stewart?
I did. I saw his model girlfriend. It was really pretty, by the way.
Was that the Brickett Atlin?
I think it's like a tall blonde.
Yeah, that's all he's
really
ever been
pretty.
with is tall blonde. By the way, does Jen have any pants that don't have holes in them somewhere? Are all those holes forced in?
It's the style now. The knee hole.
It's derelict.
Then Chris is really in style.
Yeah.
At all times.
He's like, what about dad shirts with holes? Is that okay?
That's cool, right? People like that.
What about pit stains? Is that coming back? Or
Grease?
what?
People like grease stains on their clothes, right? The ones that don't come out.
The one bigger pit stain than the other one's real edgy.
Oh, man.
Fuck you. You know what? You're cock blocking your mom from coming on the Studio 54 radio.
What does that even mean?
First of all, why you got to bring my mom and cock up in the same thing? That's
He
just
did
rude.
not block his mom's cock.
That's true.
Now,
He did not.
I'm telling Leslie he could have got her on the entire time.
No, once I found out that I could do it, I was all up for it, actually.
Too bad. I already texted her.
Chris, you haven't, and there's no reason for you to take this so low.
You don't have Leslie's number and you know it.
I should get it next time she's here. Just like I'll let her know what Vito's up to.
She listens every day. She knows what I'm up to.
I'm talking about off the air.
What does she think of this show? She think there should be more Vito?
No, she loves it. Every day I get home, I get a nice little conversation of, what I would have said. Well, why didn't you tell them that I love that?
Yeah. Why don't you say more stuff like that?
What are some of your mom's main interests that she gets upset that you don't stick up for?
Oh, when you guys talk about Big Little Lies, every day my mom's like, you should be watching it. I told you. You'd be in those conversations. If you
Oh my
She's
God,
right.
that's amazing.
She's right.
I want to hear Leslie's post-show reports. Bring a mic home.
Does she watch Big Brother?
No, she does not watch Big Brother. She would have been great for Big Brother and the Holding Company.
I know.
It's like Leslie's in again.
Is
this
that
week.
coming back this year or
Yes,
no?
100%. It'll be here all summer long. Big Brother and the Holding
We've
Company.
been in talks with a former house guest about coming back for an appearance to start the
There's
season.
only one former house guest you've had on the show.
Now, when does that start?
June? It starts in June.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it's July. It's really close to the All-Star game every year.
I think they said June 28th.
All right, that's the earliest they've done it in a while.
Yeah, they're getting
Because I was always like, why are they starting now if the summer feels halfway over? And then they drive it well into September.
Oh, yeah.
I
You're
know.
like, it's after Labor Day. I feel like it should be over.
It should end on fucking. It should have a
Yes.
big Labor Day fucking special. End this thing.
Blowout. Big Labor Day blowout.
Hell yeah.
It's the baseball season of reality television.
I don't want to be, it's goes with white shoes. It's like Big Brother and white shoes go out on the same day.
You can't wear white shoes after Labor Day? I
That's-
know it was white, jackets and stuff.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Although, all of those fashion rules get broken, but that used to be a very old school. You couldn't wear white pumps or white shoes after Labor Day. It was a faux pas.
I miss how people would just wear men would wear white suits in the tropics. I don't feel like that happens anymore.
That's a pretty badass look, though.
You know
Yeah,
what
it is.
I like is a seersucker suit. I think that's a
Very
cool-
rare thing to see a seersucker.
Yeah. But it's such a good look, and I like the idea of a summer suit because it's supposed to be breathable, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But you got to be somewhat nerdy to wear seersucker. You can't be a badass dude and put on seersucker.
Well, I think,
Dandy. I think you should be a bit of a dandy man.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're a dandy. Dandy Warhol.
but I think you're right. I think that if you're a skinny dandy or you're a chubby dandy, both of those work in a seersucker suit. But you don't want to be just a ripped dude. First of all, nobody
this is
looks
very surprising to me that a chubby dandy could wear this.
So you're
yeah.
saying I could be a dandy in a seersucker?
If you were dandy, which you were not.
You ever even wear a jacket?
Very rarely.
I never saw you in a jacket before.
You saw me once when I got out of that deposition.
Yes,
That was
that's
the
the
one
only
time I came out of the suit.
I
You
saw
were
you
screaming
in a
at us
baggy
that day.
suit.
It was a fucking rough morning for me.
Yeah.
It was a
And
bad
we're like,
fucking
oh,
day.
look who's in the suit. You
he
just
was-
start fucking yelling.
And he was so clean shaven,
Yeah.
which I've
Yeah.
never seen before. It was
That's
really
the last
weird.
time that'll happen.
Why?
I don't, because I don't like to be clean shaven. I felt like I had to because I'm going to find fucking 5 lawyers grilling me.
But do you like the way you feel? Because I know a lot of guys who are they like the way they feel in a suit. Do you?
I don't like it at all. No.
By the way, why would they be grilling you? It didn't even happen to you. It happened to your mom.
Well, they were accusing me of lying about a bunch of shit. That I was like, oh, she got benefits from the state when she got fired from her job because she broke both her fucking legs. And they were like, well, I was like, I don't remember. There was some New York benefits she was getting that I forgot she was getting, and they were treating me like I was just stealing money from the city. And I was like, what? I was like, then yeah, you had the fucking signed paper in front of you for the last half hour. Then yes, I guess you did fucking get the goddamn money. $200 a month, you fucking cunts.
All right, this has turned into another negative
Wow.
thing.
I apologize.
No, it's too late.
You called them cunts, Chris.
You said it in front of the ladies here.
Yeah.
Ladies, I apologize.
Jen doesn't even know that word.
Oh my god.
Cunt and Rod Stewart both. It's just not on her radar.
So yes, I was accosted by lawyers of New York City and Connecticut.
He really is trying to try this chubby dandy role. I was accosted.
The chubby dandy will no longer put up with this.
The Chubby Dandies. Good band name.
I like that. I'll write that down.
Why don't you be the chubby hubbies?
Delish. Highly underrated ice cream.
So, Vita, what's on your head? What's going on there?
Well, this weekend I was walking with some friends.
You said list weekend.
Like Joe List weekend?
No, not Joe List weekend. This weekend. I was walking with some friends, and I saw a dude on the street walking and eating a full Domino's pizza pie.
Like they were splitting it and each one?
No, it was one guy, and he had the pizza box opened up like kind of like a laptop, and was just walking in the street and just going at the pizza alone.
Was it a large or a...
I think it was a medium.
Mm-hmm.
Was it me? Is he still me on the street?
Was this man Chris Stanley?
It made me judge him real hard. One, because pizzas I think is like a great walking food, but I don't think a box of pizza
Agreed.
works as a walking food.
That's
and then I
insane.
just started thinking what the best walking foods are.
And you know what? Here's the thing, and I will say this. I know people say that pizza is a good walking food. I actually don't. I'm fine with it as a standing food, but I don't find it to be a very convenient walking
Now
food.
that you're saying it, I've never walked down the street eating a slice like John Travolta did.
Yeah, I've never done it.
I always
stood.
I stand.
Yeah,
I stand more like Louis does. Stand over the trash can eating it.
Exactly. And you're like, I have 3 minutes
It's
to
a
eat
really
this.
good point. Although I have walked the boardwalk. That's my one thing. I've walked the
Right.
boardwalk eating a slice. Walking food, a dog, dirty water dog
Yeah.
is the perfect way to go. On the other hand, never walked with a cheeseburger in my life.
Mm-mm.
Never.
Seems
That would look,
weird.
if I saw a dude walking down the street with a cheeseburger, like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
But the,
not even like a fast food cheeseburger, like a full fucking burger, tons of
A
toppings.
stick in the middle of it.
5 napkins. But the best of all walking food, and I'm going to drop the mic on this, is a cone of ice cream or ice cream cone.
In fact, that's one of the only foods that looks weird sitting and eating. Like if you were sitting at a table,
Yes.
like at a dinner table eating an ice cream cone, that's a fucking bizarre
You
look.
can't do it. You can't have a ice cream cone as a dessert in a restaurant.
No.
The fucking surreal police will come in and arrest you.
I remember there was a guy eating a cone of ice cream outside Sirius when we were having like a talk one time, and somebody walked up to him and said, "Look at you doing that white boy shit, eating that ice cream cone outside."
What are you talking about?
We were outside, and there was a dude sitting on like one of the ledges, and somebody just walked up to him and said he was doing white boy shit by eating that cone of ice cream.
Are you saying that black men do not eat ice cream cones?
It was two white guys. That's what was really weird about it. But
White on
actually,
white crime?
you know what's funny?
Vanilla crime.
I have never seen my black friends eat soft serve. I've actually only seen them get like Baskin Robbins type.
Good
Like
for them.
in a
Because
cup.
that's ice cream. Soft serve is not ice cream.
It's like chemicals.
It's ice chemicals.
And like sometimes I have a craving for like soft serve out of a truck, but that is not the same as a regular ice cream craving.
No.
Like it's not the same thing. Much like a Chicago deep dish pizza. I wouldn't just be like, I'm in the mood for a slice. What kind of slice? Chicago deep dish pizza. It's just its own thing. It's like its own level of craving.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you.
But once in a while, I do kind of want one of those weird chemically soft serve ice cream. I don't know why.
Like a Dairy Queen.
Like a DQ,
Carvel.
like a Mr. Softy, if you will.
The perfect kernel.
Mr. Soft is getting moved out of New York. They're getting pushed out by New York ice cream.
It's the same trucks, though.
No, but
It's
it's like a
just a
different
different
company.
name.
It's a different company. Yeah, they're
Yeah, but it's the same trucks. It's the same ice cream.
yeah.
But like Mr. Softy will not exist anymore. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like in Midtown, New York, ice cream has a death grip on this neighborhood. You won't. Seriously, they're on every block during the
First of
summer.
all, it can't be a fucking death grip.
Wait, is this a real stat or you're just assuming?
Ice cream wars.
It seriously is ice cream wars, and fucking Mr. Soft is
If
getting
you don't know
treated.
the difference between a lion and a tiger, how would we believe that you know the difference between a Mr. Softy and a what?
New York ice cream.
And then there's the Mr. Softy knocked off Master Softy.
There's
that
a
has a
Master
very
Softy?
There's a Master
Racist.
Softy with a very similar logo.
Massa. Massa Softy.
I believe instead of the bowl cone that we know of Mr. Softy, he's made from one of the triangular cones.
That's a lot cooler. I like Master Softy a lot better.
Dude, I lived years ago. I lived in a neighborhood that there was ice cream wars going on because the problem was I lived very close to McCarran Park, and all along McCarran Park is Mr. Softy trucks, and they're going all through the neighborhoods, right? And there was actually a thing like that the residents were like, "This is getting fucking out of hand. That's 6 months out of the year." Not on a nonstop loop. It's and they were like doing a thing like you can only play it X amount of times, and they were like, we can play it as much as we want, or like they said like you have to turn them off after 6. It was like a huge fight where the locals were like, it's maddening. Like if you can imagine if you work from home and it's just like on a constant loop.
Yeah, but the rest of us want ice cream.
Exactly.
The thing in my neighborhood when I was a kid, they complained to the Mr. Softy because they fucking woke up the baby every day, right? They used to drive up and down my block. So the fucking Mr. Softy used to then drive down to the end of my block, hang a fucking left, and we see it driving away. We went out of our minds insane. And then we started to fuck with the house that made the complaint.
Yeah, that's not okay. You're screwing over the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, let your baby wake up and have a fucking ice cream like everybody else.
It's delicious.
It's summer. Why wouldn't you want a nice, frosty, cold treat for yourself?
You guys are having a summer. There was a while when we were living South Florida. We were living on like a dead end block, and there was like not many houses. There was like 2 houses, so we were the only kids on that street. And we would see that they would skip our street. So one time we went like running out, like trying to give them, because there was a big like kind of empty lot. So we had to do that. So then that summer he would come down, but only for me and my brother. So he would go all the way to the end of the block. And it was literally like he was only looking for us. Like, are they home today? Okay, no, we're going to leave.
My favorite one, there used to be this one in Hona Street in Chester that would come around at night. And it was water ice and a hot pretzel and mustard.
That's fucking great.
It was unbelievable.
See, that's nice. I never had that with like the savory. Like
he never came into my neighborhood, but it was my aunt's place. And the excitement level that I had, I would just be sitting there with a cherry water ice in one hand and a big fucking hot pretzel with mustard all over it.
That sounds delicious.
I felt like I was on top of the world. You know what I mean? I felt like this is what a king must feel like.
Now, water ice, you guys didn't grow up saying
Italian ice.
Italian ice, is it?
Yeah.
I just said
Same
icy.
Italian ice, yeah.
Icy?
Icy.
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 What's an
Oh,
icy?
you baby?
That's what I
Me
did
one,
not know.
icy.
Seriously, that sounds like something a baby would
I
say.
didn't know until this moment it was called anything else. I've always
What?
called it an icy.
No, it's Italian
You
ice,
call it
though.
whatever he wants to call
No,
it.
it's an Italian ice.
No, even like if I get
Well, you're
like,
wrong when you say Italian ice. It wasn't invented here in New York. It's from Philadelphia. And it was
Really?
a water ice, yes.
Oh shit! I didn't know it was invented in Philadelphia.
Of course you don't, because you're in Queens. You don't understand anything
Cubero. What
about
up?
your goddamn nation's history.
Now, I
Then you
can't.
find out where the Constitution came from. They come from fucking New York.
Astoria?
No.
Now, I can't remember what region this is from, and this will really make you upset. It'll make icy seem totally normal. That they call not water ice, not Italian ice, but they call it a lemon ice no matter what the flavor. So you would have
I
like
know
a
people who
cherry
do that.
lemon ice.
The Italians do that. They'll say, "Can I get a cherry lemon ice?"
And then it's like, it's not a cherry lemon combination.
It's
All
just-
of them are lemon
It's
ice.
fucking crazy.
And I don't know why.
Outside of the regular colors, what would you like to get when it comes to that? Because now they'll like even make it a cantaloupe
Yeah.
or a mango. Yeah, it's very nice.
Hun-
It's sophisticated.
100% across the board, I always go for the coconut Italian ice. Always. That's my favorite one. And I like that it doesn't dye your mouth.
I think it's nice to get a root beer every once in a while and just have something refreshing there. You know?
I've never had a root beer one. I always found the chocolate ones disgusting.
Agreed.
Like fucking nasty for real.
Okay, we all agree.
Right.
You're an asshole if you get the chocolate ice.
What do you
Yeah,
think,
shut
Vito?
up.
if I'm like not getting sherry, it's gonna be lime.
Lime.
That's like a lime rookie.
I love lime.
In Florida, they had like a seasonal one, so I would get pumpkin, and it was really good.
Basic.
I would say it was gross, but it was really good.
Can I get the pumpkin spice ice?
I'd show up in my Uggs, go get my pumpkin spice.
Yeah, first of all,
icy.
there are no seasons to Florida. They're making everything up.
Yeah, but they hold on to it so hard. Like they want so badly to have
Yeah.
seasons.
Like Rita.
Santa Claus is coming in a boat this year.
No,
It's
he's
always the
not.
same bit.
Really? That
Bullshit.
was
Yeah,
sad.
they put Christmas lights and have a boat parade go by.
Yeah.
It's hot as hell out there.
It's really hot.
Santa Claus is bringing a crack pipe this year.
There was always like some Santa Claus in like bathing suit
On a
trunks.
ski, he's coming in on a jet ski. Hey, kids!
Oh,
It's
great.
ridiculous.
And you know what? As a kid, you were always like, "That's 100% not Santa Claus."
Yeah.
Like you just knew this was a dumb gimmick. Like even if you believed in Santa Claus, you're like, "Well, now I don't. Now I know this is all fucking work."
It's all work. Once you found out the Papa Shango wasn't real, why would you think that Santa Claus was?
Oh yeah. I mean that one I had to be told because I think it was just too traumatizing.
Sure.
Like Papa Shango is going to kill someone. Like, I legitimately thought that Papa Shango was going to commit fucking murder.
It seemed like he could. Hey, the WrestleMania is this week, right?
Yeah, Sunday night. We got like 6 hours now with the pre-show, so it's going to be a long night. We've got the great main event of Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar.
What else is happening big?
Triple H versus Seth Rollins. We got a triple threat ladder match for the tag team titles. John Cena and The Miz are going in a mixed tag match with their girlfriends, their respective girlfriends, Nikki Bella and Maurice.
Is that the one that the sex tape came out of?
No,
Hell yeah.
Paige.
Oh, is she gonna wrestle?
No, they're keeping her off TV for a little while.
Why?
No.
She's already on Pornhub.
She's got a lot of heat right now.
Yeah, that
Oh, you watched it, didn't you?
Did you watch it?
I did.
That's
Oh,
As a wrestling
Peter.
fan, he shouldn't watch. I don't think you
because
should have watched
when
it.
it came out, like what one of them was, I had to find out if
what do
it
you
was
mean?
true.
What one?
One of them was a threesome with two other wrestlers.
Who
What's
were
the
the
problem with
wrestlers?
that?
I just had to.
they're just jobbers.
One of them
Was one of them Brooklyn Brawler?
One of them was a jobber, and one of them's pretty big now. One of them was one of the guys from the New Day. You guys know who they are?
No.
They're the three black dude tag team guys.
Was it Wade Bryant? Was it Wade Bryant? One of
No,
them?
Wade Bryant.
Is that the one who comes out
Yeah.
with a lantern?
His fucking name's Bray Wyatt.
Wade Bryant, Wade, whatever the fuck his name is.
Ray Bryan.
Wade Bryant.
Tiger, lion. What's the difference?
He doesn't care. You know what I mean?
So anyway, you're not expecting a big WrestleMania.
No, this is probably the worst build up to a WrestleMania.
And who's going in the Hall of Fame?
Kurt Angle.
Mm.
The Midnight Express.
Beauty.
Nice.
DDP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm really
Page.
excited about.
Nice.
I met him one time here, and when I went to go take my picture and go put my arm around him, he goes, "Put it up, brother." We made a diamond together.
Put it up.
It was pretty
perfect.
fucking rad.
He started. He started late in life too.
Yeah.
He was a manager first, and then went on to be a wrestler.
I had no he was a manager first.
Yeah, he used
Yeah.
to own a bar down in, I think Fort Myers. So he was kind of known as a bar guy down there, and then he was doing some of the local managing and was getting some heat with it. And then, like, I think he was well into his 30s when he decided to become a wrestler.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
That's great.
And then
Yeah.
his big push came like even later than that.
yeah, he was well into his 40s, right?
Yeah, when it was like 2001 when he got his like big title run in WCW. Maybe earlier than 2001.
Then he starred in that WCW movie.
Ready to Rumble. I love that shit as a kid.
Still love it.
It's actually not a terrible movie.
It's fun if you're a wrestling fan.
Was Oliver Platt in that?
Oliver Platt kind of played. I'm gonna see. I would say who he would be somewhere between Stone Cold, right? He was kind of like a Stone Cold and also like a Ric Flair.
Sounds a pretty great character, actually.
Yeah, it was. Oliver Platt is a great actor anyway.
He's the man.
There were some good actors in that movie too. There was Ralphie from The Sopranos. I forgot his name. Joey Panta.
Joey Pants.
Joey
Just Pants.
Yeah.
Just call him Pants.
He was the bad man. He was the heel manager of that movie.
It's good casting.
Well, he was supposed to be. Who was the guy who ran WCW, right?
Bischoff.
Yeah, he was kind of the Bischoff, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah,
Bischoff put it up as he was the bad person.
I forgot about Bischoff.
Oh yeah, he's the guy who changed wrestling.
Yeah.
By throwing money at everybody.
Yeah.
And like that was the first time people went by their real names. It was when Scott Hall and Kevin Nash showed up.
Yeah.
On WCW because they couldn't call them Razor Ramon and Diesel, so they didn't know what to say, so they just yelled out their real names.
I always hate it when they just would make up a new name when you went to another thing.
Yeah.
Like Flair, they called the champion.
Oh yeah, they did.
It was terrible.
Oh no, that doesn't work at all.
I liked when they had the fake Diesel and fake Razor Ramon after they left, and they just tried to have other people play them.
Well, they done that with the fake Macho Man. Remember that?
Yeah.
They had like an old man Hogan, and an old man.
Oh,
Macho
the
Yeah.
Nacho Man.
And then with Bret Hart, it was always funny. They just brought out a midget, like it was the fucking Middle Ages, and you'd just be the king, like, look at little Bret Hart. You'd just be screaming.
Oh yeah, the king always loved it.
Look at him. He's diving on top of him.
The king specifically loved little people.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, like that was his basis for perfect comedy.
Yeah. He's trying to get on him.
Little people and breasts.
Yeah.
He likes puppies.
He loved yelling at little kids about breasts on TV.
Wrestling has been our strangest thing. Have you guys seen the 30 for 30 about XFL?
I haven't watched
You
it yet.
gotta see it. It's amazing. And fucking Vince is unbelievable in it.
Is he? So it's all new interviews with him talking about it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. He's so old now.
Is he?
Yeah.
But what's great about his interviews, just like
we made some mistakes, but we changed the game. The way the game's played now. We weren't about to back down from, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's still very cocky.
Yeah.
He'd like to beat the shit out of Bob Costas.
Really?
He would like to just fuck him up.
That's fucking awesome.
He's not even kidding.
Like if he sees him, he will fucking.
He was like, I wish he was bigger. I wish he was just a little bit bigger so I could knock him right out. Yeah. But they're right, man. They changed a lot that the NFL went and picked up. You know, the way that they shoot and the excitement.
Like the camera, right?
Yeah, a lot of the camera stuff.
The floating camera, started in the XFL.
yeah,
Yeah, the flying fox, they were calling it on Fox TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird to see how many cameras are moving around a game now and people mic'd up and shit like that.
Well, everyone's like mic'd up now, like the entire fucking team.
They should mic up everybody in the audience. I want to see what people are thinking.
And they're mic'd up, and they have those like weird antennas that like can record like sound like a small area, so they can, even if they're not mic'd up, they can still fucking hear it what everyone's saying.
You mean with the dishes?
Yeah, the dishes. Yeah.
when I saw the Eagles play, I could not believe, like, I thought that those cameras, like, because you really can't see, like, the string that they're on. I was just going, is that a drone? I just thought it was a fucking drone. And because they, like, from visually, it looks like they go really fucking low.
Well, they are drones just on a wire.
Right.
That's all.
I just thought it was like a flying drone that could crash at any moment.
I guess we'll be using drones in a couple years, though.
Yeah. Like,
Most things
imagine,
will be
like, drone cameras for just, like, audience shots. Like, that's going to be very common. Like, you know, like, go sweeping across the stadium like that.
Like kiss cam type thing? Like
But
drone cam?
yeah. It'll just be like the drone just makes its way around the fucking audience instead of having people.
Like it's the Jetsons. The Jetsons used to run a bit like that. But, you know, you were talking about those dish things.
Yeah.
And radio, they would always use them. So if you worked at a radio station that had that, you'd be able to get a gig just holding the dish, and you could stand on the fucking sidelines.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really fucking fun. You're just trying to get some of those shots, but you're on the sideline watching the game, and your only job is just to hold a dish up and point it at people.
I always thought
That's
that looked so scary, like when they crash into cameramen.
Dude, you would not believe how fast they come across the field. You feel like your feet are in mud when you're trying to move away from them. And on every play, no matter where you are down there, you're just seeing grass being kicked up. You never see that on TV.
No.
Really?
But grass is just flying when you're down on the field.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So fucking violent.
Yeah, it's a nasty, nasty fucking game.
Yeah, even just being in the stands, I thought, like, God, is it always this aggressive? Like, if for some reason being there, you're not as removed from the fact that these are people, like, just throwing their bodies into each other.
That's what
so,
they
like,
do.
yeah, when somebody gets hurt, it's, like, terrifying. Like, it really was, like, much more violent than I thought it was going to be.
The idea of doing, like, the chain crew has always just terrified me. Like, that, like, the pressure of, like, doing the chains and, like, just the fact that you're right there and players are running towards you.
Yeah.
Has anything not been as updated as much as the first down chains? I mean, that all the lasers that we have, and we're talking about these flying cameras, and you still have chain links that guys are holding on poles. Let's take the pole out there.
That they're eyeballing.
That looks about right.
It's the only thing that's the same on every level. Like Pee Wee football, high school football, the NFL, it's the same exact chain crew.
Cheech Marin is next. Cheech's new book, Cheech is Not My Real Name, But Don't Call Me Chung, is available in stores and online. His Twitter is at Cheech Marin. Are we going to do a contest here?
Yeah, we have a signed Cheech Marin poster from The Unmasked.
Very cool.
All right, so for Twitter, that super tweet for the first responders, at Cheech Marin, and then you could go to our Twitter, say it. We will pick out one of the super tweets and give them a signed Unmasked poster. Or was this a town hall? I can't remember.
This was an Unmasked.
It wasn't Unmasked?
No, it was a town hall.
It was a town hall because I made that. I
Thank
made
you.
that town crier thing.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
That went over. It went over so well.
Yeah. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
I still sometimes laugh thinking about when you said that Cheech's name wasn't attached to the promo, so you replayed it again, and then he had to just go Cheech Marin in his voice. Oh God.
That was a not give a fuck promo. All right, so that's coming up. Do we break first, Chris?
We're going to break first.
All right. At Cheech Marin, and his new book is Cheech is Not My Real Name, But Don't Call Me Chung. Oh, man, this thing.
Oh,
When's it going to go away? When am I going to feel better?
I want you to
Chris?
feel better.
Not sure. Soon.
We'll be right back with Cheech Marin, Bennington. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I was asking my wife yesterday because we did another one of these kind of live shows. Is where do they get these people in the middle of the day, man? What can lure them in?
Cheech, that's what lured everybody in today.
That's the answer I wanted.
The new book, Cheech is Not My Real Name, But Don't Call Me Chung. Has that happened a lot in your life? Or?
All the time. Well, it's usually, hey, which one are you, Ching or Chang? I'm Ching.
Well, first of all, the book is a great read.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's really, really fun. And, like, your life was pretty crazy long before you even got into show business.
Oh, yeah. I grew up in a very rough neighborhood in South Central L.A. There was 90-some% black. Next things, Mexicans who were there. And then a couple Chinese and one lost white guy. You know?
And then you moved to an all-white neighborhood.
To Granada Hills.
Yeah.
And one day everybody was black, and then the next day everybody was white. And I'm like, what dream did I wake up in? It was interesting.
But you were always the minority.
I was always the other in both neighborhoods, you know?
That is amazing. But did that, you think, have anything to do with personality and what you need to do to improv? You're improvising on the streets.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's how to fit in both neighborhoods. And you're like, okay, and this guy, they speak a different language, you know, they have different mores. And I felt much safer in the black neighborhood. Although there was murders. I saw 2 murders by the time I was 7, right in front of me, man. Guys getting killed. And not so much but they were after me in the other neighborhood. Hey, Blackie. Really? Blackie. No. You got to see some black people first, man.
That is strange when you're a little kid and you're forced to represent something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I was always the littlest kid. I was always the littlest kid in the class, and it was what I learned from South Central is get in the first punch. You're little, get in the first punch and run,
There's like a whole generation of kids who do not understand what it's like that when you leave the house, you may be in a fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like, well, my dad, bless his soul, was a cop. He was a LAPD 30 years, so it was like I grew up with juvenile delinquents, because they go pick him up at work, and it's described in the book, and it was always, they try to engage me, and my mom said, all right, go get your dad, because we have to sit there in the parking lot and wait for him to get off work, and I'd have to intermingle with the juvenile delinquents. So what are you in for? No, I'm here to pick up my dad. Oh, really? I better shut up.
But even your dad expected you to defend yourself, to be.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He was a Navy vet. He was a semi-pro football player, boxer, and it was those guys that came out of World War II. They were just tough guys, Yeah. Just like, man, it's boom, and it was my way or the highway. I used to call it the flying ham. I could see it coming, breaking our and the flying ham would knock me cuckoo.
Yeah. So you grew up with that, but the Vietnam War came around, and it was something that we'll just say didn't interest you.
It didn't. I couldn't, because I couldn't figure out. Not that I was unpatriotic, it's just this war didn't. Nobody bombed our twin towers. Nobody bombed our harbor. They didn't attack us. They were not invading us. What are we doing to invent some sort of vague domino theory in a land I never heard of? I said, this is bullshit.
Yeah,
and so plus I was the very first baby boomer. I was in the year that the baby boom started, and so I was I had a lot of troops behind me, and we were going to do things for the next 50 years, and we're going to be the biggest generation. It was like the python that swallowed the pig.
Right.
And you could see the pig all the way through the python as it digested. And so it was really changing. And so there was one side of the country that was like, hey, my country right or wrong. My country's wrong in this particular situation. And our country is set up so that voices of dissent are allowed.
Yeah.
And you get to do that. You get to voice your opinion. You say, hey, this is bogus and I don't agree with it. So I was part of that generation.
Well, you also make the point of like you remember exactly where you were watching Sullivan when the Beatles broke and all that kind of stuff.
It changed,
Yeah.
Because I was living in the Valley and the all-white neighborhood, and the big folk music scare of the 60s happened. And I was the folks, because I was a musician. I was folk, Davy Johnson, on the countryside, like that. What are you? Where are you from? And then all of a sudden the Beatles came in, and all my folky friends, they were like purists. If it wasn't 100 years old, the song, they didn't want to hear about it, and you were a sellout. And so so I went to the movies, and I heard the Beatles record. These are kind of catchy,
Yeah.
And then I went to their movie, Hard Day's Night, which to this day remains my favorite movie ever. They invented so many things in that one movie. They invented MTV and the mix of rock and roll in England and the United States and the globalization of rock and roll. I went to the movie, saw Hard Day's Night, and I sat through it 3 straight times.
Yeah.
And wow, I can quote every line from that movie. I have it, and it was like, and so I dragged my folky friends to the theater the next day, and they go, oh, man, it's about Beatles, come on, and the girls fell in love immediately, and the guys just try to start to grow their hair out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and it's a very funny movie. People forget.
And it's hilarious.
Yeah,
I mean, I know every single line from that movie, and it's brilliant.
Yeah,
it's brilliant, and it was a lot of improv. This, which we did, so I really related to it in that way. But they were funny, and his music, there was great. sometimes there's a period in musical history where a movement takes place or a group takes place where you know every single song and every lyric to every song that they ever made. You can sing it with them. And has a uniting force, you know, and that was the era that we lived through, and it was great.
Well, you know, that's the thing. I've talked to so many rock stars of the classic rock generation, and every one of them can explain every single moment and how quickly they went out and got a guitar and they got lessons after seeing the Beatles.
Well, it's a way to get girls, man.
Yeah.
That's a motivating factor for every musician.
Yeah.
That's a motivating factor for the Beatles.
Yes, it was.
They learned how to play because they wanted to meet girls, man.
Yeah. So this is all happening, and you have your draft card, and there's demonstrations going on, and one demonstration.
Century City.
Yeah,
it was. But well, I was part of the draft resistance movement with David Harris. He started this movement. He came to my school and spoke. And I go, this is it, and this is the way to do it. And so shortly thereafter was this giant demonstration at Century City in L.A. and President Johnson was going to come and speak, and it was a big dividing force. And there was this big group, thousands of people gathered in Rancho Park, and we were going to march on Century City. But one of the speakers at there was thousands of people there, was Muhammad Ali. And he had just won the world championship, and he had just changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. And I was dazzled, man. He was the most physically impressive human being I'd ever met. He's big, and he's like 6'4", almost 6'3", somewhere around there, and just chiseled, you know, and he was really good looking and really funny and really smart, and he got on the back of a stake bed truck, and you know, I'm with you if you with me, and and I handed him my draft card, and he signed it, M. Ali, you know. Yeah. It was like cool, and then you know, I've been a champ. He's my all-time idol. Yeah, I mean, really, Muhammad Ali is not only could he knock guys out, but he was you know, cognizant of what was happening in society and with the war and with black people and all those things, and he faced prison, and he wasn't afraid, and you know, he had no fear in the ring, but he also had no fear outside of the ring, and he, you know, backed up his beliefs.
Yeah. And also another person who was hilarious. You know what I mean? Like, while he was doing that, he was so funny in those.
He was so funny. He was spontaneous. He could make that stuff up, you know, on the fly. And I go, this guy's, man, he's got, you know, and plus he was the greatest boxer ever. Yeah. You know, and I was boxing still to this day. I love boxing. Some people don't like it. Some people, well, too bad. You know, I like boxing because I was raised on it, and he was magic. He really was magic.
And like the Beatles, another one of those just hard lines between generation and generation. Anyone older than Ali didn't understand him at all.
They didn't.
Anyone younger loved him.
Yeah, he was a threat or a hero, and that doesn't happen a bunch, you know.
Yeah. So again, I mean, it's so funny how you were such a product of that generation, you know, and really on the front lines for all of it. So while this was happening, you did something with your draft card. You
I turned it in. That was the purpose of the draft resistance movement, is to not recognize their authority over you. If you're not 18, or if you're 18, don't register for the draft. If you've registered, don't show up for a physical. If they draft you, don't show up for that, and clog the system. That's the only way to slow this machine down. And I did all those things. and I protested, and we used to protest at draft boards at the induction center, and they were after us, you know. And so at that time, they started sending the leaders of the draft resistance movement, I knew they were coming after me, to 8 years in Leavenworth. And it was totally illegal and unconstitutional. I knew it was going to be overturned, but it's going to take years, and I'm going to be in Leavenworth for those years. And at the same time, I had discovered pottery. My last semester of school in college, I just took this pottery class because there was a cute girl in the class, and then I wanted to be, and it changed my life. I mean, really changed my life, and my Mexican jeans are like bubbling. This is what you were meant for, Holmes, you know. And I started making pottery, and then I got turned on to this potter named Ed Drahanchuk, and he hired me. He was very famous at the time, and he hired me to be his assistant in Canada. Mm-hmm. And so I went to Canada, and while I was there, they drafted me illegally, I'll have you know. and then so I was stuck. I couldn't come back to the U.S. The FBI wanted me. And I knew it was going to go to court, and it would be, which eventually was. It went the first time. It was a U.S. Court of Appeals. And it got, because it was totally illegal what they did.
Yeah.
And everybody recognized it. So now I was back in the United States. I came back in the United States with a phony ID of my friend, his driver's license with his picture on it. I swear to God.
Yeah.
And the guy, he said, they're both kind of brown. Okay, there we go. And I got in, and then, but I got out of it, and then I was free to pursue Cheech.
But that took a couple years of being in Canada. How was your family feeling about that?
They miss me, but I've always gone my own path, and they're very used to it. And my dad, strangely enough, because when this whole thing came up, and he said, "Well, I don't agree with." He was a World War II vet. He was in the Navy, and he said, "I don't agree with what they're doing over there, but if they called me, I'd go."
Yeah.
And so, well, that's the difference between our generations. I'm asking a bunch of questions, and I don't like the answers, and they don't seem to be true answers. And I'm not there's nobody invading me right now. I'm just not defending myself. And so I went, but he was glad to get me back,
But Canada was pretty welcoming to you
I love Canada.
Yeah.
I just loved it. It's like, where was a kid from South Central LA going to go to learn how to skin a bear?
Yeah.
I did. I skinned a bear and a moose, and this is not Holland and Vine, but okay,
Those are amazing stories, because you're way out in the Great White North.
I was in the foothills of the Rockies and lived in a log cabin with chopped wood every day, went to the river for my water, and it was just wonderful.
And that is true. A kid who grew up in sunny Los Angeles, you're now wrestling with a Canadian winter.
It was the coldest winter in 80 years in Alberta, Canada, the year I got there, and it was the high during January was 20 below. That was the high. Got 40, 50, 75 below one night. And you can't imagine how cold that is. It's cold out here now, and I bet you against it outside this door, but 50 below is really cold.
Yeah. That's everyone's going to die cold.
Yeah.
Everybody
Well, you don't
survive.
go outside because, and I had to go out to an outhouse if I went out to an outhouse.
Yeah.
And your lungs could freeze. And that's it.
Yeah. Here's one of my favorite parts of this too. You're at a girl's house and you're listening to this Supremes album over and over and over. And back then people would read liner notes and go all through.
Yeah.
And there was a name on one of the songs.
The song was "Does Your Mama Know About Me?" And the Diana Ross and the Supremes recorded it, and it was a story about this interracial love affair. Does your mama know about me? And I said, "Man, this is a cool song," and I kept playing it over and over and over because it was really beautiful. I said, "I wonder who wrote this song?" And it turned out it says lyrics by T. Chong. What kind of brother is Cheech Chong?
Yeah.
And so I when I got to Vancouver, I was introduced to Tommy Chong. You're the guy from Does Your Mama? And everybody recorded it. Diana Ross and the Supremes, Jermaine Jackson, the Harlettes, Stephanie Mills, and it became a big gay anthem too. Does Your Mama Know About Me? And so and it endured because it was a beautiful, and we sing it every night in the concert. We play it, but it was like he had written this iconic song for the moment. It was #1 R&B hit.
Yeah,
crossed over, was a big hit, and it stayed around. So, and I met Tommy Chong. Oh, you're the guy that doesn't know. Oh, okay.
So at that point, you guys kind of hit it off. You're involved with them, but you're not Cheech and Chong yet.
No. I got introduced to Tommy by the publisher of this magazine that I was writing for, Poppin' Magazine. It was like a music scene magazine in Vancouver, and he says, "I got this guy that you should meet. He's running this. I can't even describe it. It's an improvisational theater, but in a topless bar." Sounds good already.
Yeah.
I could do this. And so Tommy had this bar that his family owned, and in his absence, when he was on the road with Motown, turned it into Vancouver's first topless bar. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like a gentleman's club. It was a topless bar in Skid Row, you know. Like the first one, you had to go there to see naked chicks.
Yeah.
And so he turned it into this improv theater because he had seen improv theater when he had seen the Second City and Committee, and that's what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so he turned it into this, and it was like, unbeknownst to the audience. So one day we showed up and we're these long-haired guys talking to them, and we had a mime artist in the topless bar and a classical guitarist, and we just started doing, because we owned the club, so we could do anything. And they were like, hey, we want tits, you know. And people would try to get up on the stage and beat us up all the time.
Yeah.
We had Tommy's brother Stan, who was a killer, and they would just wrestle these guys around. But it was, we were just, you know, oblivious. We were oblivious hippies. What we were really doing was hippie burlesque.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's the pure joy of it, is that there was just total fun, even though there was no plan.
Yeah, there was never any plan. And that was the great thing about the 60s. We were all making it up as we went along. And it's like, let's try this, you know?
Yeah.
Well, who would ever think of doing an improv theater and then, like, it is like in the worst section of the city, which still is the worst section of the city right now.
Yeah.
And we started doing this, like, okay. And there was some brilliant moments in it. Really brilliant. We'd do 4 hours of improv a night, 6 nights a week. and that formed the basis of what we were going to do in Cheech and Chong. You know, we had this rhythm of how to create material.
Right.
And that's, we played it forward.
But you also make the point that you and Tommy, since you're both musicians, understand that kind of jazz flow that musicians can
That's
have.
what, you know, we were always musicians, so we approached comedy as music. It had a certain rhythm to it. It had a certain beat to it, and we knew where to come in, and we recognized it just like we recognized a 4/4 beat, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, 4 in, or say nothing.
Yeah.
You know, or let the other guy, and we learned how to riff, and that's how we made all our albums. We go into the studio. Okay, you're this guy, and I'm this guy, and this is the situation, go.
Right.
And we just riff on it. And all our movies the same way.
Yeah. Well, there was always the funny thing about Cheech and Chong is that you guys are always meeting each other at the beginning of something. You know, it's not like they're brothers or something or longtime partners. It's like two guys who should never be together get together.
Well, we were the number one Chicano Chinese comedy chain.
Talk about a long shot, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, and everybody that saw us after that wanted to kind of merchandise us or get it.
Yeah.
I says, okay, you're a burrito and he's an egg roll. Okay. Yeah, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah.
Look, but we were always kind of hipper than that. You know, we were doing informed vaudeville, you know. I mean, that's why the records and the movies have endured, because there's a degree of intelligence in there that is not in your face. It is hidden in this kind of amiable comedy, and that's what makes it last long.
Yeah,
because you discover what's funny rather than having it crammed down your throat.
Now, did you guys go back and look at any vaudeville, or you just felt it out as yourselves?
No, we felt it out because that was our influences, you know.
Yeah.
People ask me anybody that was on the Ed Sullivan Show, any comic, I don't care if it was Myron Cohen or Alan King or Red Skelton, I loved them. I loved comedy. I love how they did it. And even if they only had one funny joke, I would sit down and go, oh, that joke's really funny. You know, and I would take that.
But I think that's also great because people would imagine that you guys were rebelling against the comedy before you, but you were really just updating.
We were continuing.
Yeah.
We were the continuation of that tradition of comedy teams, which you don't see right now because it takes a certain blending of personalities and a certain compromise. Because, you know, you have to listen to the other guy and he has to listen to you. And that's always contentious. Mm-hmm. But that's the irritant that makes the pearl, you know. And when we were true to that, we were fine.
So you got back in L.A., got the draft stuff behind you.
Yeah.
Thanks, of course, to a lucky accident.
Well, when I was in, I was in Banff. I lived in Banff for Banff, Alberta, which is a beautiful national park ski resort. And so they were going to teach this Mexican how to ski. They used to call me the brown blur because I didn't know. I could ski fast downhill. I just didn't know how to stop, and one day, I got launched and came up and broke my leg in half. It was like a 7-compound fracture. And, this is not good. I looked at it, this is not good. And so I was out of commission. I was in the hospital for a month with this broken leg. And when I got out, eventually when I got back to L.A., that's what kept me out of the draft.
Yeah.
Because when I got back, my case was dismissed. And immediately they sent me a notice for physical. They tried to redraft me right then because they were going to get these guys no matter what they were. And so I had this broken leg. So I got all my x-rays from Canada and a doctor's note and went to the physical and got 4F'd out of the Army for that reason.
That had to be an amazing feeling.
It was a lucky break.
There's literally like an old Zen saying about, when bad things happen, who knows how it works out. When good things happen, who knows?
Yeah.
A lot of times you think there's fortune or misfortune, but
it worked out great. I was always very lucky. I started meditating early in my life. I think it was 19 when Maharishi first came out with Transcendental Meditation, and I was in the first group at UCLA that because I got turned on to him by my girlfriend, and she says, "This guy's coming in, it's meditation." Okay, and went down and I got it right away. I didn't become part of the organization because that's just not my nature to be in any organization like that. But I meditated. I still do to this day, and it always kept me centered. And I tell that to my kids or anybody else who's interested. The key is to be centered at all times, and there's techniques to do that. A lot of different techniques, but here's one, and be centered. And because you're living in the moment, the Catholics call it the state of grace, where there's no anxiety for the future or regret about the past. You're living, and so you see things more clearly in that moment, and you're using your instinct, which is what you really want to do as a human being. You want to use your instinct, and if your instinct is clear, you'll make the right decision every single time. I mean, that is without doubt never fails me.
And also the key to comedy, too, right? You're not moving it ahead. You're not worried about what just happened. You're staying in that moment.
Yeah, and you're realizing what's happening in the room right now, man. And I see different... who I saw do that? It blew me out? As Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I went to see her concert in L.A., and she was a big deal show with, moving parts and cranes and blah, 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 all this. And those kind of shows you got to keep on a meter. And because they're timed, the guys got to come out, and this one. And she would stop the show in the middle and after a song and talk to the audience in real time. Hey, what is that over there? What are those signs? They're freaking me out, blah, 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 blah. And I was watching this, and I've seen a lot of concerts. And then she would pick it up again and get that momentum going again. And she did it 2 or 3 times during the show. And I was not only her wonderful talent and dancer and singer, but her ability to connect to the audience that way. And she had such control over it that they went along with her, man. And it just blew me away.
Yeah. And you've seen, like you said, some of the best of all time.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I've never seen the ability to if you go to see any, I don't know, Madonna or, it's on a track, because they got to keep it going because it's a lot of moving parts. But she blew me away, man.
Yeah. Well, when Cheech and Chong were in LA, you guys started opening for bands. Yeah. And people had never seen that kind of variety in a rock setting before.
Before even we started opening for this bands, when we got back to LA, we were, you're out there every day, hitting the pavement looking for gigs. It didn't matter. It had to be any kind of... What we really fell into right away was black clubs. We played all black clubs because I grew up in a black neighborhood. I knew that mentality. Tommy was in a band in Motown. He had toured in all the big, heavy black areas. And so they had this old format in the nightclubs that a professional MC would introduce a professional comedian and who would introduce a professional floor show. And so we fit right into that format. And also we were talking about weed, which was our connection to the black audience. Yeah. And they got that because it was, 2 non-black guys in the hippie era talking, doing comedy. And there were black clubs. Yeah. Black. And the first time I ever saw an armed guard in the parking lot.
Yeah.
But we did all the black clubs, and we had this residency, I guess, at PJ's in Hollywood. It was the Uptown Black Club, and it turned into a black club, and we opened for Carmen McRae, Smokey Robinson, the Impressions, the Delphonics, the Little Anthony and the Imperials, Edwin Starr, and one night the Isley Brothers, and one night right in that era when they had that Who's That Lady with that fuzz tone guitar, we were playing with them right then when that came out. And also there was this other, it was Danny Boyle, hey dude. And there was this other tune that was just coming out right at that era. It was called What's Going On? Marvin Gaye, which was, to me, to this day, is the best album ever made because it incorporated all rhythm and blues and statement at the same time. And he got up one night with the Isley Brothers and sang that song. It was just out, and it's like, people went nuts. I mean, absolutely nuts. And we were right in the middle of it, and we played all these clubs, the Young Hearts,
Yeah.
And they understood us. And they also they paid American money.
Right.
Which the white club didn't pay no money.
Yeah, right. The white club, you were getting exposure.
Yeah, you were getting the troubadour, So.
But the troubadour is where your life changed.
We got discovered by Lou Adler, who was this big deal record producer at the time. He produced Carole King and the Mamas and Papas and Johnny Rivers and Monterey Pop and just a zillion other. And he was just releasing Tapestry at that time, and which turned out that the biggest album ever. And there was only 2 or 3 people on the label, us and Carole King and Mary Clayton and David T. Walker. There's 4 of us, and so we got up close and personal with him. So Lou Adler was born in East L.A., basically.
Yeah.
He was born in Chicago, but he grew up in East L.A., in Boyle Heights, which was the Jewish section of East L.A. And so he understood what we were talking about. Oh, I know that culture. I know those Low Riders. I know that. And so he understood it. So he knew how to promote us.
What amazes me about the first album is that normally you sign a comedy act, you go to the show, you record that show in front of a live audience, but you guys just walked into the studio and started improvising there.
Yeah, and creating these scenes. Like everybody that was our contemporaries, Richard Pryor, Lily Tomlin, George Carlin, Steve Martin, that's what they did. They recorded their live show. And you listened to it, and then it had a laugh track.
Yeah.
You knew when to laugh. We went into the studio and started doing these improvs of these scenes, and no laugh track, a lot of background, and they were very atmospheric. Mm-hmm. Because of both of our influences, we learned how to do that on our own. And it was the era of when albums were the big thing. They started being the big thing. People would listen to albums with headphones. And we constructed records for them. There was a lot of panning left to right and jet planes and backgrounds and guns and crashes and these 2 voices that came out and that you'd never heard before.
Right.
And you got to make it up. Your interpretation of that, And I think, looking back in retrospect, that's what made them long-lived. Mm-hmm. Both the albums and the movies, because you decided when it was funny. You look at movies today and they're digitized and they're short scenes and blah, 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 and they crammed on your thought. Okay, here comes the punchline. Eat it. And that improv era was you got to decide when it was funny, and sometimes it was different for everybody.
Well, it was a unique thing because this was this comedy that we had never heard before. And it was about weed, which, by the way, you could still go to jail for weed.
Oh, yeah. It was very heavy.
And it was being listened to by people who were smoking weed.
Yeah.
And then, you would go to some kid's house and you're listening to this, and then it's his album, so he's looking at you like he's taking full credit for this experience, And it was life-changing right there. You guys recorded this stuff. It went out to radio stations. Yeah. And you're overnight kind of underground stars in a lot of ways.
It was amazing. To radio or people that record for radio, it's the fastest way to get something in front of the public. Movies, you got to write a script, and then you got to get the approval, and it's at least 2-3 years from the time you first think of an idea to it actually gets on screen. Records, you record it, it's on radio the next day. So it was like, how current can you be? That current, and everybody recognizes, like, wow, are we supposed to be listening to this? Is this legal?
Yeah.
But it was happening across the country because of the rise of FM radio. People were not, listening to yummy, 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 I got love in my tummy. They wanted this other thing.
Yeah.
And the FM stations were catering to them. They would play one whole side of the record.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I listening to?
Yeah.
But it was happening all over the country. And it was this revolution because we traveled from city to city, and you could really. That's what I missed when I wasn't on the road anymore. Is you didn't feel the pulse of the country, but traveling, being Chicago, New York, Des Moines, Iowa, and you see what people were thinking, how it was changing. I was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah. So you guys had that thing where you were more or less overnight stars.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. I mean, we had long show business backgrounds, both of us.
Right.
But this is the first time in this new genre.
Yeah.
And we were totally making it up. We had no models to work from.
Right. But without that experience of working all those strip clubs and black clubs, and you wouldn't have been able to pull this off.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We were stuck for comeback, I don't know how to do it. But we just kind of reflected what was going on in the street. And everything was possible. It was much more open to, that's really weird. They have an oud in there. Like, oh, okay, cool. I've never heard of nude, And it was not so restricted, it's kind of restricted, not restricted right now, but regimented and segmented.
It's regimented, it's segmented, and it's very tough to reach that broad audience.
I mean, you can be Beyonce, but you can't be Cheech and Chong right now.
Yeah.
Which is, I have nothing against Beyonce, I love her.
Yeah.
But, the quirky things, but that all of a sudden became mainstream.
Yeah.
Because FM became mainstream, and everybody wanted to hear that. They didn't want to hear, but AM was the big commercial engine. And so somewhere in the process, after we released our first album, Adler comes up and says, you guys got anything for AM? Because it was bigger, giant, more bigger audience. And so he said, you guys got anything for Christmas? And so I said, yeah, sure, we got something for Christmas. You got anything for Christmas? Let's go in the studio and do the deal. And we came up with Santa Claus and his old lady. and I think maybe there was maybe 3 takes of it, or sections of it, and that was it. Adler came back and he says, I had this orchestrated, I had this scored by this guy, Clarence McDonald, who was he says, listen to this. And this was the story of Santa Claus and his old lady. And we listened to it, and right away you knew it was going to be a hit. I mean, that was the only thing in my career I was like, this is a hit.
Yeah.
And it went on the radio right then, and it was a giant, and still to this day it's played every Christmas. So yay.
Yeah. But radio was like demanding more product. You guys are going around. They couldn't wait for the next.
We were on this treadmill, man.
Yeah.
And we were on the road. We used to do 300 some dates a year. And that's days on the road side, and we would record on the road. And so when do you get time to? We used to call it dry dock. That was the only time we got any time off is when one of us needed an operation of some kind. We come in and get a new knee or Tommy new teeth or something, and we, okay, back on it.
Yeah. Now that led to the first movie, and it was just because there was so much success that they knew that there was an audience out there that they gave you guys the shot.
They didn't know shit.
Yeah.
I mean, really, they because we were this giant record hit, a giant concerts. We were selling out Kennedy Center 2-3 shows, and so the TV people start tracking us, and then we were trying to get a movie made. We took off time at the height of the movie or the record career and said we got to write a movie because that's our next step, and because it was every comedy team's next step. All the great comedy teams made movies. It was Martin Lewis, Abbott and Costello, any of those guys. they made Laurel and Hardy. They made movies. Okay, we got to make a movie. And so we didn't know how. We had no idea how to make a movie. We know how to go to movies, but we didn't know how to make movies. And so we kind of potchkied our way through it, and I was doing that. And Adler tried to get a deal for us with the studios, and they would they were making Hello Dolly. Right. At this point, they're not Hello Dolly, so they didn't know how to sell it because they didn't care what it was. They just know how.
Right. It's got to make money.
It's got to make money. They got to be able to sell it. Who are you gonna sell it to? Who would listen to this? Well, the 8 million people that buy our albums, maybe they didn't get it. They didn't get it at all, and so they just so we ended up making this negative pickup deal, which meant we had to raise the money, make the movie, and then when we gave it to them, they would buy it. But we had to make it first, and we had to finance first. So that's what happened.
Now, right before Up in Smoke come out, did you guys feel like this is it? This is taking us next level, or you don't know how it's going to work?
We were making a movie, and that's the biggest thrill you could have in life with your clothes on. It was like, it is like, we're making a movie, man. We're us guys from the strip club. Right. We're making a movie. Hey, we're in Hollywood. This is all cool. You don't know how it's going to come up, and it was a long kind of torturous path to kind of get to the screen because the dissolution of our relationship with Adler happened at that point. It's always concerned money, and that was going on. And so when the movie came out, it was a giant surprise to everybody, us included. I mean, I knew it was going to be a hit because I looked across the footlights every night. And I knew that the audience was there, and I was, this is going to. We could run it backwards with Japanese subtitles, and people were going to go see it because they want to see what these guys are. That it became a giant hit, freaked everybody out. They were not ready for it. But we were.
Yeah, insane laughs in that movie. I mean, some of the hardest I've ever seen people laugh.
Me too.
Were in that movie.
Yeah, I went. The first time I ever saw it with an audience was in Dallas, Texas. And I had never seen an audience explode like that and laugh so hard. I said, "Wow, this is cool."
It's insane. But when the early part of the movie and Pedro is going sideways, he's so paranoid, and the cop comes up, knocks on the door. People were laughing so hard, and I saw someone run down the aisle. Someone jumped up and ran down the aisle with their hands in the air. But that's how the whole place looked. It was like a mini riot. It was
amazing.
Yeah.
And I would pop into theaters right around and I sit in the back, and it was the same reaction every time, no matter where in the country I went. Well, this is going to do good. Yeah. And then we got in the middle of a hassle with Adler, and then we were stuck for 2 years. Couldn't make a movie. We're in the big lawsuit and blah, blah, blah. And so we were stuck. But then people have counted us out multiple times. And we just we'll keep going. And the next one was a big hit. And the next one was, and then they started going down. And then we started doing other stuff.
Yeah. Now so Adler, like, you guys don't get that famous without Adler. You need
absolutely,
but there's still problems. Those things are tough to go. Yeah. Success is not easy either.
Success reveals a lot of things.
Yeah,
and Tommy and I always had a contentious relationship. Because we're two separate personalities, both strong-willed, and we always fought. But we were brothers, and so as brothers, you could hate the other brother as easily as you could love him,
Yeah.
And so we always had that reaction going on. And as it got, you'll read it in my new book. Cheech is not my real name, but don't call me Chong. That contention was one guy wanted to take over and be the creative genius. It wasn't me. It was some other guy. And it caused conflict between us. And I wanted to go kind of in a different direction. He wanted to end it, but he wanted to be in charge. He wanted actually to be credited as the sole writer. And I said, that's not how it works. We wrote everything together. We directed everything together. And I just made sure you were named director so you would not freak out, because I was perfectly happy being the star, and that's what it was. I mean, I was, because Tommy had this history of having these groups, successful groups, but he wasn't the star performer in the group. He was with Little Daddy and the Bachelors, and he was a bachelor. He was with Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, and he was a Vancouver. He was with the Shanghai Junk, and he was a junk, I guess. And so at that time, he said, next thing I do, I want my name in it. So they can't, replace me or not give me credit. So that's how Cheech and Chong came about, and so he wanted to be kind of he was the genius, and I don't know, dude. This is,
But enough. I mean, music, that those kind of partnerships always have problems at certain point. Lennon, McCartney, on and on.
You get to every act has a sell-by date, or shelf. You cannot be the comic voice of your generation when your generation has moved on, and there's a new generation that wants their own comic voice. They want Eddie Murphy next, or whoever that is next. They want to hear because they're in the zone, and it's fine. But at the top, if you're the top act in the business, which we were in both records and movies, it's your time to 6 movies. Or 6 albums, which we made 6 of each. And then it's time to move on, And so, okay, I was cool with that, but I wanted to kind of move in different directions. I didn't think we needed to do the same sex, drugs, and rock and roll because it was a waning results. And so we argued about that. And then I made this Born in East L.A., the record. Yeah. And then the video, and the studio saw the video. They said, there's a movie here, but it's only you. Yeah. And so we were really arguing. Tommy wouldn't show up for the recording of the record. The first time ever, I was always there for him. We may have argued a lot, but we always did. And I was recording Born in East L.A., and I was in the studio waiting for him and it's get to be late. And I called him on the phone. Hey, Tommy. I was surprised that he was home. I says, where are you, man? We're in the studio waiting for me. No, it's your record, man. You do it. Wait a minute, we got this middle section, this talking back and forth, and we're supposed to improv in there. He says, no, it's your record, you do it. You're not coming in? No. Oh, okay. I wasn't mad. I was sad. This is he's not coming in. The first time I've ever asked him to be there for me, and he's not doing it. Wow. I sat there with him, okay. So let's go finish the record. And then the process happened. The video came out, was a big, huge video. He wasn't in that because he wasn't. And I directed the video and wrote the video, and then I got this offer to do, and I thought, that's what I'm going to do. Because I'm tired of doing this argument. It's not getting anywhere. It's not doing either one of us any good. So I went off and did, and then I was gone off on my own.
Again, there's something about you with timing. You know what I mean? Like that project that became such a big hit, and by the way, could still be done today, right? I mean,
it's more relevant today than it was the day I met.
Yeah, and you found yourself now suddenly at the forefront of that community. I thought about that when you're the minority with the black kids, the minority with the white kids, but now finally you're embraced by the people of your own background.
Yeah,
really.
that was great, because it was dicey. Yeah, whether they're going to accept this or not, or what is it? But it was hugely accepted. And then the big acceptance was when I was invited to Cuba to participate in the Havana Film Festival, which was the most prestigious film festival in Latin America, and and it was very heavily political. And we won Best Picture. And best screenplay, which I wrote, and best. We won 4 chorales, were the chorals, the black chorals, and we got I got the Global Rocha Award, which was the Foreign Film Critics Award for Best Picture. So it was like, man, and I wasn't even there for it. I went to Cuba, I went to Havana, and we were there for the first week, and they didn't know who I was, which is fine. And this is the guy with a film under his arm, and they started screening it for the critics, and I saw them, they would wave, I loved your movie, I like it. How do they see the movie? Well, they're screening it now. Well, let's go talk to them. No, you can't talk to them. Because that's forbidden, because you might influence them or try to bribe them. So how much do you think it would take? And so we left. We came back to L.A. and I got a call in the middle of the night. This is all in the book, Cheech Marin. Middle of the night that we had won all these awards. I mean, it was like I was flabbergasted, you know, and that was a big moment. But the big moment is when you saw it with an audience in Cuba, in Havana, and excuse me, it was everybody's story. And at the same time, you heard this raucous laughter, and then you heard sobbing all over the theater, you know, because people had gone, you know, they died doing that process, and you realize, like,
yeah,
oh, it's heavy.
And you're not bringing in the Cheech and Chong name with that. They're just saying it for the story.
You know what was funny is when I got back to the U.S. and people were like, well, this movie is, you know, you're continuing that drug thing. There's no drugs in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, really? And they were reviewing our past, or you know, and it was, I had pointed out a couple times, man. It's like, hey, there's no drugs in this movie, you know. Well, okay, and they had to, and then it got accepted as the social statement that it was.
Yeah.
And my theory about that, and I have a theory, is that if you want a message, you know, go to Western Union, but if you want to make some artistic statement, it's like a hot air balloon, and the basis of the movie, or the bulk of the movie, is this big hot air balloon that's full of fun and joy and hot air and laughs and blah, blah, but you're trying to carry this little payload that's the message, and that's the proportion of it, and that's all you need in the message. People get it, you know, they get it right away.
And that story, I guess, needs to be told over and over and over again.
You know, we're going to come to this point in our government and the consciousness of America, that Mexico is our greatest ally, and the Mexican people are our allies. And you're never going to unweave that relationship. You're never going to rename your states like California, Arizona, Montana, Nevada, Los Angeles, Santa Fe, you know, San Diego. You're never going to unweave that, because it's part and parcel of who we are as Americans. America is the shirt that got sewed onto the button, you know, because New England is like, you know, the Pilgrim is just like, but the great majority of the country is the Louisiana Purchase and the Gadsden Purchase and the Mexican-American War, which now all those states and those territories are now America, rather than Mexico. My grandmother, who died when she was 95, and I asked her, I had to write a report, you know, like where your parents came from, and I said, no, I got it. Where were you born? Because my dad said you were born in Mexico. She goes, no, Tucson. I go, okay, so America. No, Tucson. Well, is it America? She said, Tucson was Mexico. And it was really the classic case of the border crossed her.
Yeah.
She didn't cross the border, you know, so it was like, and that's the relationship we have. They're our greatest ally, and as well as one of our biggest trading partners. So we're working at cross purposes to ourselves. And if you want to get something to eat, a Mexican's going to touch it.
Yes.
Before it gets to your mouth, some way a Mexican's going to touch that. I don't care if you like French food or smorgasbord. No.
Go into any Chinese restaurant in New York City, Mexicans.
Chino Latino is what it's called, man.
But I know, I mean, we can't tell your life story in an hour, so we're wrapping up soon.
But there is the book.
There is the book. And like I said from the beginning, the book is fascinating. I picked it up for the comedic point of view, but there's so many other stories. And the acting career that you had post Cheech and Chong, which you normally wouldn't get. You know what I mean? Think of how many sitcom stars have been stuck with that role, and how many opportunities you've had.
I've been extremely fortunate, you know, and I was at the right place at the right time, and
again and again,
and not only put in stuff, but put in iconic movies.
Yes,
I mean, The Lion King is certainly an iconic movie. Cars is certainly. Tin Cup is certainly an iconic movie, and I was very lucky to be in all those, and people recognized me for different stuff, you know.
And the Robert Rodriguez movies.
Rodriguez movies, man. I was Uncle Felix, and some people, especially kids, only know me from that.
Is that right?
They only know me from that. You're Uncle Felix, and they go nuts, you know. Because Robert was another one of those kids that was raised on Cheech and Chong. And then that generation of kids became directors. Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino, who put me in his movies too, because he had been raised on Cheech and Chong. They understood, we need you here in this thing. And so we fit in right perfectly with him, I'm waiting for another generation. I need a job,
The grandchild of. And then, of course, Nash Bridges, which is a big mainstream hit. So you've got, the album career, the touring career that you've had, the movie career with Cheech and Chong, the post-movie career, mainstream television. Animated. There's very few things in show business that you haven't been part of.
I still want to do Broadway.
Is that right?
But only for 2 weeks. Because damn, I'm old and I don't know, 8 shows a week. But I directed on Broadway. I directed Latino Logs at the Helen Hayes Theater, and that was a really a thrill. But I'd like to be in a musical.
A musical?
Yes, I would like to, because I'm a singer all my life. I could sort of dance. Now, it's not that I can't learn, it's just my knees don't want to learn, But I love Broadway. I mean, I grew up on Broadway cast albums because I was in the first generation that had hi-fi,
right,
and long playing LPs.
Yeah,
and and we got the cast album to My Fair Lady or King and I or some, and I would listen to them over and over. Or Music Man, There's a couple young girls I met a little while ago, and they were like musical comedy. They went to school for that, and and I could sing with them every song on Music Man. I said, "Well, who were you? Were you Marion?" "Yes, I was Marion." How do you know there was Marion?" "Well, I know stuff, honey."
It's amazing too to think this rebellious underground performer is listening to the Music Man. My Fair
Knew
Lady.
every single lyric. Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, pick, talk a lot, pick a little more. And she looked at me like, "What? How do you know that? How old are you?"
Well, now with all this, you and Tommy get back together, and how was that to jump back into that? Because I know for a few years there was some kind of shots back and forth in the media, but how did that feel to get back together?
I knew that if we were ever going to do something again, and I always thought we would, is it would be stage, because that's the thing we could argue about the least. Because still those arguments came up. Who's going to direct? Well, I'm not going to let you direct, and I don't necessarily want to direct. Let's get another director. No, I want to direct. All right, and but it was stage, So we started because there was that clamoring for the everybody. When are you guys going to do something? So we did stage, and it was okay. When we got on stage, it was like I'd been away for 20 seconds, not 20 years. And the audience, and we didn't even rehearse the bits. We just went and did them, and and there was still a lot of residual resentment, and only has recently dissipated. I think with health issues, you kind of come to the point where enough of this.
Yeah, well, you have to do with family anyway, right? Yeah. Like what does it really matter who was right? Who was wrong, who did what.
And we just get on stage, and it's like it's a magic pairing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to describe it. We were meant to harmonize with each other. It's like the Everly Brothers. I mean, there's other good singers you can harmonize with, but your brother, they grew up with, and you got that tune. And so that's what we're doing now. We're on stage, and it's fun.
How often does that happen? When do you guys decide to do that?
We've been back on the road for 8 years now.
Yeah.
And we haven't killed each other, so that's good. And still, there's still some residual resentment, but I don't even pay attention to it anymore.
Right.
And then I don't think it's really dissipated, because and it's not an ego thing anymore. It's just like, hey, let's do this gig, And thank God for casinos, because there's more Indian casinos now than there were Indians when Columbus landed. They're everywhere, and so it's great. It saves show business to a certain segment of show business,
But I think it's so great for both of you guys to have that, and you're both so different together. You know what I mean? I've known Tommy used to come and do my club in the 90s when he was looking to figure out how to do this as a single. And
I had a phone on stage hooked up, and he called you, and you answered the phone, and the place went bananas. They just went crazy. The fact of just you guys talking is entertainment to people.
That was bizarre.
Yeah.
Because he used to call me from stage for a little while, and it would always be at night, and my wife and I would be in bed, and we heard the phone ring, and I would answer it, and it was a speakerphone, and I would talk to him from bed. And he was on stage at some club, and I would talk to him. And after a while, I just didn't want to do that anymore, so I wouldn't pick up the phone, But it was interesting. You could see that people wanted that to be.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be, but I didn't want to go through the hassle of what we were going through. It had to kind of dissipate itself, I think. And then when we finally got back together, it was immediate, and there was this. Now there was drunk white guys in suits trying to climb on stage. How does this go?
Well, we could just scratch the surface of this because this is Cheech's life, and it's an amazing one.
Thank you.
That's the best part of the book is just the life that you've led
up to it. Everything informs. Everything you do, everything you learn informs what you're going to do. And that's as varied as you can make it. And I was always interested in everything, and had a Catholic education, not only in the religious sense but in the all-inclusive sense. And interested. And so that really gives you a lot of things to look at.
Cheech is not my real name, but don't call me Chung. Cheech Marin, everybody. Let him hear it. Cheech.
Thank you.
Cheech.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Thank you.